Welcome back to part 2 of the E3 Microsoft show. Enjoy!
So then, probably the biggest surprise of all of this, especially of how gorgeous it looked, Microsoft Flight Simulator, which uses Azure Cloud and satellite data. The music was lovely as well. I liked this a lot. I wouldn't immediately play it, but there was something really graceful and something quite unusual about it being there.
See, I have been playing a game recently on the VR called Ultra Wings on the PlayStation VR. And it is a flight sim type game, but you're sitting in the cockpit, so you are literally flying a tiny plane around. And it takes a bit of time to get used to. Once you've got the hang of it, it's really relaxing and chill, and you can just sort of lean back in your chair, grab a controller, and go for a nice little fly around a nice cartoon island. Like it's nice. It's really, really nice. Laura played it a bit and it made her go bath. I understand, going up in the vertigo thing. It's a very real thing. You look at the plane like, oh shit, I'm quite high up. But like, I have a greater appreciation, I think, now for like that sort of flying around, looking at stuff game because of this. And like, this is like to that, but in a Google Earth. Okay.
Yeah, it looked stunning. I mean, I know every generation car game looks photorealistic. This was this year's, hey, doesn't it look photorealistic? It looked stunning. So a few years ago, obviously Flight Simulator in the 90s was Microsoft games. In terms of what brought in revenue for Microsoft's gaming arm, Flight Simulator was there, and there were people who have, just the same with car games, they have chairs and proper layouts with, a proper controller slash, yes, you can do it on a keyboard, etc., but you need it, if you're taking it seriously, set up, and you want it kind of in that kind of mech style. You want to have all the controls there, all the bells and whistles, chair that rocks you about like nobody's business. But a few years ago, Microsoft did a game, or Xbox did a game called Microsoft Flight, and it was a scaled back, like it was supposed to be a like sort of intro to Flight Simulator, but Flight Simulator would put people off because it was still seen as a very hardcore thing, and it didn't set the world alight. And I think this time round they've just rightly, in my opinion, said no. You know what? Flight Simulator was a big deal to a very specific group of people. Let's do this. I hope that's what they're doing. Did this say it was coming to consoles as well, or was it just PC? Yeah, consoles as well. I don't know how that will control in a controller. I don't know whether you'll need to be able to hook a keyboard up to your Xbox for it or something. But yeah, I
just like the thought of kind of, again, tying into what Paddy was saying about something being relaxing. Yeah. There's something sort of quite nice of kind of coming home and going like, right, I'm going to go through New York City in a biplane tonight, or my next mission is to take a Boeing 747 across to Egypt, and that's pretty exciting, and it's not involving guns or swords or anything like that. It's just, I mean, I've seen, those streams with Lemmy playing Truck Simulator are great anyway. But yeah, I like that it's something different and that it's something niche for a group of people that have been ignored for a long time, like you were saying.
Yeah. And it's bizarre because now they're coming into a world in which Farming Simulator and Truck Simulator and Rail Simulator, those are big deals. Those are big things. But to my knowledge, something like Flight Simulator, to that degree, you are, like for Train Simulator, you are paying thousands of pounds to get all of the trains into the game. Like the DLC on these things is unreal. But for people that is their game, that's what they do, that's what they love. I spend that money on gaming in general. Not in a short period of time, but I spend that's my hobby. That's what I invest into. I have the consoles, I have all the games, etc. If that's your one game, then a individual piece of DLC that might be £100 or so, that makes sense. So go all in on, okay, this is for the hardest of hardcore. And it's on Game Pass for people who've got PCs or Xboxes, so people who just want to try it can just try it. That makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
The other thing we didn't... so with the Game Pass on PC, they announced that there would be 100 games or over 100 games. That list's fully available now.
Right, okay.
But obviously we're not going through all 100 games. Some of them are the same as ones that are on Xbox, others are not. There is a big list of games there. The ones they highlighted that I can remember off the top of my head were Imperator Rome, which is... That's a this year game. That's a Metro Exodus sort of recent kind of game.
Okay.
That's 2 months old maybe. Football Manager 2019, which is obviously last year's Football Manager,
cool.
and Halo MCC coming to that. And I believe that's due to launch or is due to have Reach in it very soon.
I thought Reach was a little bit later on.
Maybe, but I was sure at some point I'd heard it was going to be there at launch, but it's not. They would have made a big deal about Reach coming,
I think
and it would be
they're
coming
doing
to
it one at a time this
right,
time
okay,
as well,
maybe.
rather than doing...
Maybe
doing all of
I've
them
misunderstood
at once.
that, but Halo Master Chief Collection, expect that to come, and that means at some point in the next 6 to 12 months Reach will be coming as well, and presumably to Xbox One, because I want to play Reach again.
Me too. I've had lots of conversations about Reach recently with work Paddy. So yeah. Who Paddy knows about. Paddy's seen that he looks like a cutting of Paddy that's gone in a different direction. Paddy did, but he is a big fan of Metal Gear Solid, and I did put questions to each of them.
Are they the twin
to see who
snakes?
was the winner?
Who won?
No,
Who won?
Paddy was the winner, which still bothers work Paddy. But it is kind of weird that as soon as he came for an interview, I was like, Christ, another ginger. But he is Paddy. He's a proper good lad. As well.
He's welcome to come to my library and pay tribute to my Big Boss statue.
I think if you ever met...
That's not a euphemism. Stop it.
I think if you ever met and shook hands, there'd just be like an explosion.
It's nice that you've got Les Enfants Terribles in your life.
This is true. So we then had Age of Empires 2 on PC.
Definitive Edition,
which is, again, going to Game Pass.
Yeah.
I don't really know much about that, but I know that people say that that's the good one.
So
I like the first one a lot. I played the shit out of that at uni, but it is slow. It's slow. I can't play it anymore. It's slow is the thing. The thing is that it is slow. But I remember hicking up the LAN at uni, and we all, like 5 of us, were just yelling at each other about the Greeks. It was great fun.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And then once we got rid of the AI, it was on.
I'm with you.
Yeah, Age of Empires is cool. I liked it.
Yeah.
So then Matt Booty came out.
Nope.
Is it Matt?
No.
Paul?
No.
Kevin?
Nope. No. Matt.
Mr. Booty?
It was not time for Matt yet. You've missed something again.
Matt was waiting in the wings.
What have I missed?
My note taking is better than yours. In your face.
Of course it is. Yeah, I think you've just... You're like, I'm going to get onto the roof ahead of you because I've put the first foot on the ladder.
I'm going to hit the monster in the face with the hammer before you've even seen it.
Oh, yeah. I'm now looking at the New Moon Notebook, and I've missed out Wasteland 3, which was a very strange trailer that went on a bit too long.
Yeah.
I didn't twig what it was till the end. Like, it's like, oh, it's got a smashy buffalo. That looks fun. And then, it's Wasteland, which is an SRPG, which I just don't play anymore.
So,
I want to like them. I just never have the patience for them.
Wasteland and Wasteland 2 are games that I've wanted to get round to for so long, and I know that sounds ridiculous because Wasteland's been out for ever, but I've just never got around.
On Game Pass as well, isn't
it? And Wasteland 2, I want to say on PC, if you bought it, it came with Wasteland sort of in with it. So, but I just never got around to it. I didn't think
too many games, James.
Too many games. Too many games, James. I didn't think it was this full of clowns and wackiness and weirdness. It seemed.
I don't think the second one was. I think they've gone in a different direction for this one, which all credit to them. And it is Obsidian again, but I don't know. It was strangely written and strangely pieced together trailer where the jokes didn't quite land.
No, definitely.
And I was kind of. I started.
Would you say that they
didn't
quite wasteland?
Yes, I'd say that 3 times.
Cool.
Come to Wintry, Colorado, yes, but not in this game, thanks. It didn't sell me on it at all. It's very strange. Not a good showing, and it's the sort of game you can't have like a 5-minute gameplay demo because half the audience you will just lose. But this was not the trailer to keep those people on side either, so I don't know.
It's kind of pitching itself like a Borderlands trailer.
It was
didn't really land.
Definitely, it didn't waste or Borderland.
No, so then,
Matt
Mr. Booty announces acquisition of Double Fine Productions, which was, I thought Tim Schafer was really funny when he came out on stage, but that was another one of those where it's like, no.
I got worried. I got really worried at that point because I was like, but no, Paddy wants to play Psychonauts 2 though. Yeah, I know, and I still am. And I did have that brief worry of, no, don't take this from me. Don't do me like this, Tim. It's fine. It's still I'm cool. It's still coming out on PS4.
So is it still coming for purchase to PS4, or is it only coming for people who kickstarted? I presume there's...
No, it's
no, because
James, don't do that to me,
no, because Starbreeze are publishing it. Because
Rad's still coming out and everything as well, which looks really good.
Yeah, it's another thing like Outer Worlds. Starbreeze have already got a publishing deal for this. They're not doing great, but they still have a publishing deal, which means it's still coming to all the platforms. They said, but did they confirm this is coming to Game Pass then? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's where I'll be playing it because I didn't.
It looks lovely as well.
I didn't pay my
really
£1 for 3 years of Game Pass for no reason.
It's another Psychonauts. I'll take it.
Yeah, and it looks good. The gameplay I've seen of it looks like it's quite similar to Psychonauts, but it looks eminently more playable than that is, because going back to that is very much going back to the 3D platformer era where it's all a bit... Jank's a hard word, but it's if you're not used to that style of game, it's not an easy game to pick up and play now. So.
Well, you're running forwards and you think, I'll just ease a little bit to the left. Oh, I'm off the side of the cliff.
Yeah.
Somebody pointed out, it was on one of the streams I watched, that it was a nice story for Tim Schafer because the original Psychonauts, Microsoft Microsoft wanted to cancel it, and it was picked up by Majesco, was it?
Yeah, Majesco.
And now
coming back.
Microsoft have bought Double Fine.
Yeah.
But
and Double Fine, I haven't adored everything of theirs I've played, but there is very little that they've put out that I haven't thought, wow, that's a really cool idea. Whether it's Costume Quest or stacking we mentioned earlier, just everything that comes out. And they seem to be able to put games out at a pretty decent rate as well. Like with Microsoft behind them and the financial security that gives them, they can take a bit longer over games, but they were putting games out at a rate of like one every 18 months to 2 years. At least, like when they were doing more sort of stacking stuff, it felt like there was a game from them every year or so.
I think that's what Microsoft wants with a lot of these studios. They want people that are going to put a game out every year to 2 years, or these sort of inventive, quirky, smaller games that have got a smaller production cycle, but can kind of hit home amongst and take a place between the big releases of.
And that probably sounds so scary to some people, because the other fear of Game Pass is, with the devaluation of games, is having more games on there, whatever the quality is better. Like the Netflix thing. Netflix originals, there's some really good stuff in there, but there's also some stuff that you think, was that just we needed something for this week or month? It's not all good, but they just want volume. So the concern would be, okay, we'll pick up Double Fine, we'll pick up Ninja Theory or whatever, and we'll just get them to put out an idea every year. And if we've got enough studios putting out an idea every year, then every month we've got another Xbox Game Studios game. But on the other hand, a studio like Double Fine is so well suited. Like, they famously have their sort of fortnight game pitch contest almost, or like period, where they split into teams across the across the studio, and they just start workshopping ideas and building prototypes, and they use that to then decide what they go on to make.
Oh, that's cool.
In the past, they've had to cherry pick on the basis of what they then think they can get funding for, and they used they used Kickstarter for like Broken Age and stuff like that they just couldn't get funding for otherwise. There's another side to Game Pass here, which is something doesn't have to be executive tested and project manager tested and focus tested to see whether it gets to live. Hopefully, hope is
we're seeing people expand to those different niches as well, with trying out the different
stuff
games
that publishers do not want to touch. But Microsoft, I really hope, and time will tell, I could be completely wrong, maybe Double Fine get to, like Ninja Theory did this year, maybe they get to raid their ideas closet and just see if something flies without having to worry about whether or not it gets enough traction at E3 or it gets enough sales and pre-orders to make it worthwhile. That seems like a really cool prospect for Double Fine particularly.
Mr. Patrick Smith.
Yeah.
Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, all 9 movies, 1 new game.
I've had a bit of back and forward on this, because I initially went, yeah, because I like Lego Star Wars. It's like one of my favourite platformer games. Like, it's a standard I hold things to. You know, when I said Astrobot was good, I said it was as good as Lego Star Wars on our last show, in fact. Our second to last show. Shut up. I nearly got it right. The Last Ode of Humanities. Fuck you, I got it right. Is it the game we've played before, or are they doing it again? Because I've done that now 5 times, probably. I've been through Lego Star Wars 1 and 2 several times, and I've played Lego Star Wars 3, which was a bit wank. I've not played the recent ones because I've kind of fallen off the Lego games quite a bit. But back when renting from Love Film was a huge thing, I got through the Indiana Jones ones and the Batman ones and the Harry Potter ones. I think up to the Lord of the Rings, I'd played every single one and 100%ed every single one, and that's where I kind of fell down. Obviously, you can't bet the Lord of the Rings game anymore. Is this a remaster or nah?
They said new game. My takeaway from this was, they are Indiana Jones 2 style redoing the first 6 films.
Those games are really good. I don't understand, because the games are brilliant. Like, there's no need to redo it, I don't think, because the games were great.
So we've got Lego Star Wars 1, which was the original trilogy, Lego Star Wars 2, which was the new trilogy, Lego Star Wars Complete Saga, which was all 6 stitched together, which is what I played. I hadn't played them before the Complete Saga came out. Then there was Lego Star Wars 3, which was Clone Wars, correct?
Clone Wars.
I didn't play that because I never watched Clone Wars, so I
did. It was forgettable.
Sure. And then there was one for Force Awakens, but they didn't do Last Jedi, and obviously they're not going to do an individual one for Skywalker.
No, it's going to be folded into this, isn't it? I don't know. Man. I don't know. I'm conflicted, because if it's a new game, cool, but I've already played a lot of these kind of games, and it has to be doing something pretty different to make it worthwhile redoing the whole thing. But if it's the same game as the first, Complete Saga that came out a few years ago, I'm not going to buy that and play that again. I've got it on a PlayStation 2, which is where I'll play it again. That's where I played it, and that's where I loved it. And I don't know. It's weird, this, and I don't give. To be honest, I don't give too much of a shit about the recent trilogy. I just don't care anymore. I'm just done. Will they fold in Rogue One and Solo? No, they won't. They'll probably put a few characters in, but I don't think they will.
So obviously the thing is, Lego Star Wars 1 and 2, that was a whole game, but it wasn't a whole game based on one film. So they could obviously cherry pick the scenes. What they did with Indiana Jones was the same thing. They did the trilogy, and then afterwards they did 2, and they redid it, because there's enough scenes you can just pick different scenes and still do the same film and the same story. But because they haven't done Lego Star Wars 1 is A New Hope, Lego Star Wars 2 is Empire Strikes Back, there are so many scenes they can pick from to make this a whole new game that doesn't step on the older ones. It's easier to count the Lego games I have not played than the ones I have, and I'm talking about the Lego, the lineage from Lego Star Wars. So the the other properties they have done Lego versions of, not like Ninjago and stuff, which I'm sure are great.
We're talking like the Marvel games, the Batman games.
Marvel games, the Batman games, the Harry Potter games, the Lord of the Rings games, the Star Wars ones, the Indiana Jones ones. I've played the vast majority of them. I can maybe count 2 or 3. I didn't play Incredibles, for example, the most recent one, I think, at the moment.
I am a huge fan of Lego City Undercover.
And Lego City Undercover is one
well,
that, yeah, I haven't got around to. So I'm talking like 4 or 5 games out of that must be like 15 to 20 now that I haven't played. I would be far more interested in this if it was a redo of the first 6 films. And then I didn't play Force Awakens, so I guess if they just folded that in, I'd be fine. But
because it's too soon to do that again, I think. I don't know. Because that was a whole game on its own, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a whole game on its own. I don't see how they can just put that in wholesale without annoying people who did play that and then want to play this. But I honestly don't know. I don't know whether putting everything they've done before exactly as is and then just adding 2 films worth of new levels on the end, I don't know whether they can do that either. So I'd be really interested to see. But they have found ways to innovate and change up and do things that are new with films they've done before, and with a game formula that is tried and tested, is the kind way of putting that. It's like you could argue, and for many people it's been flogged until it's dead. I still love these games, the different takes they have on the properties they do, they use. Sure. But yeah, we'll see.
All these misgivings aside, I'm still way more interested in this than I am for Star Wars Order Fallen Jedi Sith. I don't know what it's called. It's already left my brain. I don't know what it's called. It's Sekiro. Jedi Die Twice.
Seeing as you've set yourself up as our Carrot, Dragon Ball Z, Kakarot.
I'm leaving. I'm done. Fuck this.
Wow.
That's kind of what I thought when I saw the trailer. I don't know anything about Dragon Ball Z.
So a while ago they announced Project Dragon Ball Z RPG and said very little about it, which is why they put that title up and then morphed it into Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Apparently Kakarot is the original name for, not the original, but like the original name for Goku. Like it's his Saiyan name or something. I know, I'm with you, CJ. I know very little about Dragon Ball Z that isn't, that guy has spiky hair and glows.
All I know about it is that my former nemesis Casualty at work is really into it, so that automatically just renders it null and void for me.
I've always liked the look of it, like visually, like, oh, that looks like fun, but the thought of actually sitting down and watching it, nah.
So I looked into it around about the time Dragon Ball Fighters was due to come out, and it's actually, unfortunately, pretty tough to watch without just buying all the DVDs, and some of those are quite tough to get hold of now because they're kind of out of
James, there's a website you can go on. It's Dutton.
Yeah. But I looked around all the streaming services. I'm not sure even if Crunchyroll have it all, do they?
Nope. They've got like Super, I think, but they haven't got the old stuff.
Yeah, I think on most of the streaming services, like anywhere you can buy a couple of the films or something. It's really difficult to catch up on. Plus, there's so much of it. It's an undertaking anyway. But I gather this game is planning to kind of redux/retell a large part of the core story for it, which is really cool. It's kind of going back to the beginning and telling a lot of that in an RPG style action game. I also thought it was really cool that this wasn't dubbed. This was Japanese language with subtitles. That's not something. It's something that I commented on in my notes because I didn't expect necessarily to see that on an E3 stage. I thought they'd do the classic thing of not really wanting to feel like they're alienating people, but it looked great, and I really liked the fact they did it in original language and subtitled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fully agree. I agree with that. Yeah, I like that as well. I thought that was a nice touch.
My other comment was, it looks wild. It looks so fun, but I've no idea how that went across with Dragon Ball Z fans, unfortunately.
I've played a couple of the fighting games here and there. Again, I've picked them up and rented them, and I can't do them. They're really hard. Like, not fighters, but like some of the early, like
yeah.
Dragon
Some of the original
Ball,
brawler style games.
Budokai. That was it. Budokai. That's the one I got, and I can't.
Fighters, I understand that people could start playing and could make a difference sort of straight away. But as soon as you, like, the bar reached so high with people that got into it. Even when I was watching True Talent stream, there were people that were just soaring off into the distance, and he's really good at fighting games.
How high would you say the bar was in terms of meters?
About as high as I am on the preparation ladder when you put your foot on the first rung and do a little dance.
Oh, I was trying to set you up for a 9,000. Nah.
Right. Well, 12 minutes, an interactive thriller.
I'm going to say time loop again, and then I'm just going to go, wow.
We've just gone back in time an hour. I thought this looked quite fun. I like the idea of this.
Cool as hell. Yeah.
The reveal of, like, it was a time thing. Like, it wasn't like, oh, here's the thing, and then another loop. It was just like, no, I know what that is. We've done this before. Like, oh, this is time loop shit. Oh,
I
nice reveal.
love the top-down view. I love that it's not a single room game, but it's a single environment game. You're just in one flat, kind of moving from room to room, and it's
lazy developers can only program one room. God,
absolutely no. This flies so hard into. Give yourself a restriction and then work within the bounds of that, and this is so cool.
It's like a stage play almost. This was really really clever.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like you're watching a stage play. It feels like you're watching someone rehearsing for a stage play and improv going on to try and work out what the story is. It was so tense, just that opening scene, where you can see the tension between the two of them when the woman's not really sure what's happening. The guy's trying to explain that they've already had this conversation, but with a sharp edge to what he's saying. Like, clearly there's an impatience there. And then the knock on the door was just, oh, God. It's so
I don't want to know anything else about this. I don't want to see another fucking trailer. I don't want to see any previews. I don't want to know anything else about it. Even the bit of story we've had is too much.
Yeah.
The radio silence it until it's out.
And another aspect of the stage play is often you get like single room environment and people talking about something that's going to happen, someone that's going to arrive, and then a knock on the door. And that, you're absolutely right, CJ. I hadn't put that together in that way, but like the notion of the especially an authority figure like a policeman coming to the door. There's it's just been, I literally can't pull the name of it, but a film with Jude Law was in it, I think. It was a film of a stage play, and the whole setup is two people in a room having this conversation about something incredibly stressful, and a police officer is going to arrive. I'll go with that because it's been like 15 years since I saw it, but just that notion of here's these two people having a very intimate scene, knowing that a third party is about to arrive and change the dynamic so much. They got the tension across of that in 15 seconds, 20 seconds at the start of that.
But you also got, within the stuff that played out afterwards, you also got a real connection between those people anyway, like a romantic connection with them, like were they dancing at a certain point?
And sort of lying next to one another, kind of holding one another on the bed, I think, at one point as well.
Really, really well put together trailer, because it threw us into their connection. Also, as you were saying, that impatience and
the tension,
a desire to know more. But yeah, I thought it was really succinctly done.
Just like you said, Paddy. I don't need to know anything more about this. Just tell me a release date and tell me where I put down my money. I don't know if this is game. I don't think this is Game Pass because it wasn't in with the rest. But
I didn't write it down.
I didn't know.
I'm going to go get the bell for every time we say Game Pass. I've got a bell. I'll ding it. I'll ding it.
So then we had this really stole me away, honestly. Away to the Woods, which is on Game Pass.
Ding!
So the project of one developer who's been working on it since he was a high school student. It was the one with the deer wandering through what looked like the end of humanity, and it was just beautiful.
Yeah,
so elegant.
Stag and fawn, I guess it is the kind of pairing of the deer. I think it's supposed to be like a post-apocalyptic world, or at least a world where humans aren't no longer there. But and navigating the world by light, where the light's coming from the antlers. I don't know if there's a reason for that. It just looks stunning. It looked really striking. This looks great.
Can I be Captain Descent?
Sure.
I'm really sorry, but this looked like I'd play it for 10 minutes and get bored to tears and turn it off. I don't know what it was. I was falling asleep looking at it. It's the note I've written is the post-apocalyptic world with small child, The Last of Us, but you are a deer. Like, I don't know. Laura thought this looked great as well, and I kind of feel like I kind of stumbled into weird world.
Thank God, the right one is having the baby.
I don't know. I just didn't get anything from it. It just looked like the sort of thing that I download and I play for 20 minutes and go, and then turn off.
What did Laura say about it?
She said it looked really, really nice. That was about it.
That's cool.
And
she hasn't got many words for this stuff. He's like, it's really nice.
Was there... I'm asking a question. I know the answer. I'm going to ask it anyway. Was there not something about seeing an adult and young deer walking through an environment they should not be in? Like an adult and young deer walking side by side. That's a charged image for anyone who knows that Bambi exists as a film. That's a like seeing man and dog in the Blair Witch thing. That's a charged image that presents a notion of peril, a notion of attachment that could be threatened and broken. Walking through an environment where they just should not be. Like, they should not be in any of these environments, and clearly having to do dangerous things to find their presumably way to the woods. That just struck me immediately.
I think I was really taken by you'd not got a tremendous amount going on, but I was really taken aback by the reveal of the environments, like the way that the lights came on with the train, and the train had kind of, the carriages were shifted, and having to charge down that window and running into the drinks dispenser as well, and I just taking care of the little fawn and stuff, and the little amount of light that was available. I was constantly taken by the environments and how something familiar suddenly seemed so alien, and then seeing these creatures navigate it, I really like that.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm sorry, I couldn't. I tried. It's getting a suborbital meh for me.
I'll go and get
dear.
Laura. We'll talk to her instead.
Is what
go and get Laura.
Yeah. Hang on, I will. Wait, no, seriously. Hang on. I'll get Laura. I'm gonna take headphones. Laura, we need you. We need you for a minute. Come on.
Wow.
Laura's coming.
I'm here.
Here we go. Put a headphone in, Laura.
Oh.
Laura's
Hello,
here.
everybody.
Okay.
Hi, how you doing, lovely?
Yeah.
I apologise, Laura. This was a dismissive comment gone wrong. Paddy disagreed with us and said that you agreed, therefore I suggested he went and got you. I apologise.
Oh, okay. What have I agreed with?
It was the deer game with the lantern deer that I just went meh and fell asleep to, and you said it looked really nice.
I thought it looked really nice and gentle.
Yeah.
I can't play, or I can't be bothered to play anything too energetic at the moment. I don't have the energy for it, and that looked like something I could sit and just gently work through slowly without any bother.
Yeah.
And it was pretty.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice and chill.
Yeah. I like even though I've been looking for it, there's not as many games out there as you think that you could just go, yeah, I'm just going to sit here and potter around and nothing's going to bother me and I'm not going to suddenly die or be eaten or whatever. It just looked nice.
Because you've dug a hole and built a house a million times, haven't you?
Yeah, I just want something gentle I don't have to be all excited about because I have no energy at the moment. So yeah, I liked it, but Paddy went meh because he's a grumpy old twat.
I'm with Laura.
Yeah.
I was with Laura until the cherry landed on the cake. Nom, 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 nom.
That was lovely, Laura. Thank you. It's James, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, James. Hello, Coffee. Right, I'm going to go back to what I'm doing.
Go back to your craft now. You
guys
now.
can go back to telling Paddy he's wrong. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
She's leaving now.
the-
She's gone.
I
Don't
get
fucking
the-
test me. Don't say go. I'll go. I'll fucking do it. Don't test me. My
the
volunteers at
feeling-
work have tried to test me.
Oi!
What?
I get the feeling that we're all going to embrace the cushion of meh with Gears 5 Escape, the most bizarre part of this games conference.
This was weird, wasn't it?
So it showed off a new multiplayer mode, which I understand is quite good, with a dodgy trailer, loads of smoke, fireworks and flames above the stage, practical effects going on under it, along with 3 wrestlemen.
Mate, the Woods, right? AJ Styles and Tyler Breeze, Prince fucking Pretty was at E3, and then they just panned the camera away. Like, no! Show my muscle, boys.
And they didn't even show anything of the actual game. That trailer was terrible.
They were sat near computers that we assume the game might have been running on. It was hard to see.
This felt
Weird.
so much like something out of an EA conference from the past couple of years where they've done the, hey, we've got all these celebrities together to play. Like, I want to hear what particularly Austin Creed has to say about... He plays games, he talks about games, he's enthusiastic about games, he is very eloquent about games. Can I please hear what he has to say about this game? No, wait till the end of the conference. CG trailer that went on twice as long as it needed to. We got the idea very early on.
I've been watching Xavier Woods on the Iceborne streams that Capcom were doing, and he was fantastic, really passionate, really creative, really detailed. Just
he's the best, and as a fan of the wrestles, like, it's the same energy he brings to, like, the wrestle fun.
Absolutely.
He brings on to the up, down, down YouTube stuff, and it's delightful. He gets a lot out of the other guys that come on, because they're all just big fucking nerds. They all just play games on the coaches and the cars on the way to go. So, like, there's so many. I mean, AJ Styles, the guy in the middle, he goes, like, when he's in Japan, he was a wrestler in Japan for a long time, and just used to go around all the arcades hoovering up all the old retro games. He loved it, and there's a series of stuff of him, like, just wandering around arcades, like, I want that, I want that, I want that. It's like, you fucking live your best life, my friend.
Who was the guy who had the Undertale advert and then got dressed up as somebody from Sword Art Online or something for a wrestling match? Who's that? The American guy that's in Japan?
Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
He he also when Street Fighter 5 announced Cody was going to be in it. Yeah, he was Cody.
They did a live action reveal for Cody, and he was dressed up as the mayor of Metro City. Yeah, it was really cool. He's a big
Kenny Omega's amazing.
Big gamer, big fighting game fan. He's all over Street Fighter. He's had grudge matches of Street Fighter with, is it Paddy? Is it Xavier Woods or Xavier Woods?
Xavier. I've always said Xavier with the X on the top.
Because I know he's he's very particular about how it needs to be pronounced, and I can't remember off the top of my head. So anyway, apologies. But he's big friends with the Kind of Funny guys, so he frequently appears on their live streams and stuff as well.
Well, we've all got to have a black mark on our book somewhere, haven't we?
Absolutely.
No, he's great. They have, like, between the members of the group, they have this, like, back and forth competition of who is the champion of Kind of Funny, and they've turned it into a wrestling competition. Like, it's not wrestling, they've turned it into a wrestling style sports entertainment competition, and he is the chairman. He's the guy in charge running the show, makes calls on, who broke the rules, who gets the belt, etc. He's a big part of that. Yeah, he's the commissioner, I believe they call him, of that particular...
How does he have this much time? The amount of shit this man does. How?
I don't know.
How?
But, and all of it is so cool. And I didn't tune in to see this afterwards because I had other stuff to go on and watch. But having the camera go into and under the stage and then over to the screen where they were showing the trailer, it's a really cool idea. It took about 3 times as long as it needed to. I'm sure that was for technical reasons. Nonetheless, it was like, why are we looking at smoke on the stage? Why are we really slowly panning over? Oh, we're going under the stage. Why is there foam tentacles? Now we're looking at a screen in the distance.
Did you think a man was going to come out of the stage when smoke, like a locust man or someone, like a big
just wanted
cosplay?
It to end.
It was so slow, and then the CG trailer for it, like, this sounds like a cool mode. We'll get to a game that sounds like it's a whole game based around this concept in the Ubisoft show. This is a mode they're adding to Gears, which sounds like a really cool mode. It's like an inverse horde thing where instead of being really defensive and setting up defenses, you've got to be really aggressive and you've got to work as a team.
But there's limited ammunition.
Yeah, absolutely. As well. It sounds like there's really cool stuff going on. But I got the idea within about 30 seconds of this trailer starting, and it went on for so long.
But also, your game's out in September, and
we've seen no gameplay.
Last year's showing for Gears 5. I'm not a Gears person, but I liked last year's trailer. I thought it was good.
Because it showed the stakes of what they were going for. It followed on
also
from 4 and showed that Kate is going to be a massive part of this game, which is really cool, because she's got a really interesting story that was kind of revealed throughout Gears 4. But we didn't see
that weird faces coming out of faces. That was terrible as well.
That was wank. I was just angry at that.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah, we're not. Terminator's in it as well. What the fuck?
Yeah. Also, Sarah Connor apparently.
Yeah, T800 and Sarah Connor skins if you pre-order or play the game in the first week. But only, I think, for escape mode and maybe multiplayer. But maybe just escape.
I think so. Yeah.
I just saw Terminator, and all I could think of, I wonder what this means for the Donkey Kong Extended Universe.
Moving on.
Not the last time we're going to talk Terminator either, so yeah.
Oh, I know. It hurts.
So we then moved on to CJ's patch.
CJ time.
The Elite Controller 2. So it's been entirely rebuilt, adjust tension in the sticks, 3 trigger selections rather than 2, 3 game profiles for you to store on the controller itself, new all-over wrapped grips, which I hope are more reliable than the last one. Those ordering at E3 get an exclusive green E3 2019 D-pad, which would seem strange when it's coming out in November. It's $180 or £160. Major Nelson said it's forwards compatible with the forthcoming
That's
Project
really
Scarlet,
crucial,
which,
yeah.
as I understand it, PS4 controllers, Paddy, are also compatible with the PS5, which is
smart, very smart.
Obviously, you've got about 800 of them.
I've got 4.
Same thing.
For Towerful. Only for Towerful. It must be added.
I love my Elite controller, and it eventually dropped to bits, which disappointed me. But I hope they've addressed the concerns, because people were very loud about them.
I was,
and those people are also the folks that were going like, love the weight of it, love the feel of it,
best
love the
controller
way I
I've
can play
ever used, but why is it actually bubbling in my hands? It's just weird.
It's a strange one. Like the grips on the side eventually, like the rubber grips started to bubble up and like come off, and it's and they're stupidly expensive to get new ones. I'm sure they're just the bootlegs on Amazon and stuff. But so I'm up for this. I really enjoyed the first one, and I hope this one does look better. Yeah. So I'm hopeful. So money will be put aside.
Obviously, Microsoft had the issue with the Red Ring of Death, and they had it got to a tipping point where they had to admit that. And once they admitted that was a problem, you have to deal with the problem, whether that's a recall if it's unsafe or just promising a exchange program like they did for the 360. This time around, they never admitted the grips were a problem, because for most people it was happening after a year. So
for mine it was a
for
long
yours it must
way
be about
into
3 years. It was like because full like it was 2015 that came out, I think.
Because we've had conversations about this in the past, and I was like, mine are doing.
Mine
all right.
was about 18 months, and by the time it got to 2 years, it was just unusable. It was uncomfortable to use, and I looked at getting replacements, and in the end, I got replacements and traded it in because I could still get like 80 quid for it in CEX.
Oh, cool!
And I thought I don't want to buy these replacements and then get to the point where every year I'm having to spend another 50 quid on this controller, because they're all parts that are like shipped over from China or Hong Kong, I think, mostly, and they're not always available. And when they are available, it varies very much in what you're having to pay. But a lot of the time, it was like 39 quid plus 10 quid postage. That's not an inconsiderable amount of money to be spending on something when there's no guarantee that's going to work any better. So it still looks like so the grip's all the way around, but there's a seam along the side, so it still looks like you've got a kind of bottom section that would kind of come away like the existing one does, and their grip on the top, which does concern me, because obviously one way to go about that is to cover enough of it that no moisture can get in under the grip and start loosening the glue. You'd still have a temperature issue, but we'll have to see. My hope is that rather than ever admit the problem with the original, they just sorted it for the Series 2.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So then we've got...
just quickly to say, the other changes are really cool as well. Like the third stop on the trigger. For a fighting game like Mortal Kombat 11, using a full range on the trigger is crap. Like timing it with a direction press is really crap. Being able to move that so that it is almost equivalent to a bumper press, like it's just a single almost click, that's really cool to be able to do, so that's cool. Adjusting stick tension for first person shooters, particularly in your left stick your right stick for looking, is really good, because it means you can be more precise with that. Equivalent to raising the height of the stick, you can also change the tension so you don't over correct for your aim, which is really cool. They've made a lot of smart changes to this that some other controllers have kind of introduced as well. I
like the charging
that you can charge it in the case.
Well.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Really neat. Also, they I think on Jeff's show they showed that underneath the case there is like a little flap that can come down, so you can plug it straight in. Yeah, very nice. And
40-hour battery, which is equivalent to the Switch Pro controller, which is just gold standard. It's like, I don't want to frequently run into issues where I can't charge. And my way around that with the Elite was just to have rechargeable batteries I could put in, which is fine, but I still have to kind of stop playing and sort it. Whereas if I can just once a week charge that back up, great.
And then remembering to charge the bastards.
I think there's the thing that a lot of companies have tried to copy the Elite controller and have done their own versions of it, like Razer and Nacon and stuff. Nobody's got it right.
Yeah.
And the Elite controller is still the gold standard, as you say. So I'm hoping that version 2 corrects the issues that were there.
Especially as like to say that there was problems with the grips on the Xbox Elite controller. That was pretty much, I think, the only problem I heard anyone have. As you said, everyone else thought it felt great. It was one of the best controllers they've used. Anyone that I heard using it, that's the way I felt about mine. I was really bummed when the grip started peeling.
Very much.
And so I guess Scuff is probably the other big name in controllers, because obviously the big thing for professional esports athletes is you want to be able to customize your controller to do some of the stuff this can do. And for PS4, that's not an option to go with an official controller. So Scuff makes some, but they've had some. So they don't offer as good a warranty as Microsoft do for the Elite controller, and they've had more issues than Microsoft have with just faulty units and unreliability. The only one I've come across that does anything for the PS4 similar is Battle Beaver Customs, where you can get into the real minutiae. It starts costing well over £200 if you put loads of stuff onto it. They get really expensive, which if you're playing a Fortnite or something and that's the only game you play and you play it seriously, maybe not to professional level, but you want to play it to the highest possible level, it sure makes sense. It's the equivalent of buying a wheel or a flight sim controller to play with. Absolutely fine. This controller sounds really expensive, and I sound like the worst apologist. Compared to the competition, this is cheaper, and assuming it carries on the Elite controller's history of reliability, it's more reliable, more robust, and has better warranty associated with it. It's kind of a no-brainer. Like, to the point where some people suggest getting hold of a Brook adapter and just using one of these on the PlayStation 4. Instead of worrying about using someone else's. So
it sounds weird when explaining the paddles underneath to folks that haven't used it, but they make such a difference, and once you break that muscle memory and you're used to it, it just becomes second nature, and reconditioning myself for kind of the regular pad afterwards has been strange. Not to especially as well those triggers having less journey,
less travel
within each press has been a deal.
So
yeah.
I talked to you when I got hold of my Elite controller, and you explained, you use the paddles, you're going to have to break muscle memory. I never did. I tried them, couldn't get comfortable, and I was like, no, I'll get to it, and I just never did, and I kick myself now, because when I was playing Sekiro, that was the first time. So a little bit with Apex Legends earlier in the year, but Sekiro specifically, I couldn't manipulate the camera and run at the same time. So I couldn't run away and reposition myself with a boss. I just had to run away, and I did not know where the boss was because I couldn't move the camera at the same time. And it's equivalent with Apex Legends. You want to be able to run and slide and potentially like change weapons and do stuff at the same time that you can't do if your thumb has to come off the stick onto the face buttons, and also be able to manipulate multiple face buttons at the same time and stuff like that. I kick myself for not doing it because with Sekiro...
You mean, James, that you can't do the claw?
I'm not playing. I'm not doing that.
Mind you, I remember like even when I was playing Nier Automata, like I had like a claw thing going with the Elite controller, and it became supernatural. But I can't imagine how I'd have done that with a regular controller, because I don't know, my hands moved into different positions to do the paddles and the trigger buttons. It was a strange thing.
When I was playing Sekiro, to the point where I was looking and thinking, shall I just buy another Elite controller? Because that felt like the game where I was like, I'm going to play this for 100 hours. I take my time over these games. I rerun bits of the game. I went through and got all the achievements, etc. Played through like 2.5, basically 3 playthroughs. I knew I was going to be putting in the time that I could have learned to use those paddles, and I was kicking myself because there was so many times I thought this would be so much easier if I could do 2 things at the same time that I just can't do, and I can't remap to make happen.
Going into like owning one, like I'd heard that you could, you've got the certain racing games are much better, and then you've got the for shooters, for first person shooters, it's a lot better. But it was Dark Souls, I think it might have been Dark Souls 3 that I was playing when I realised that I could take on a boss. I'd not taken my thumbs off the sticks. Once I got used to, it's that one to do Estus, or I felt like I was more in control of the game rather than having to fight my way off the camera to do certain stuff for like button presses and stuff. It took a step away, and I found I was performing better afterwards. And that was the first real click of the controller, because I remember playing Halo 5 and just going like, I don't quite understand these paddles. But it was Dark Souls where it super clicked. So it's a no-brainer purchase for me, because it is phenomenal, and I'm stunned that nobody's been able to get near it. And I think even I saw a review of like a really high-end PlayStation 4 version recently by Astro.
C40,
and then you put like 2 paddles under
and
I'm like, what?
So that does do some cool things, like you can swap around the stick and D-pad placement. That's cool. But it is one of those where they all do some of what you want, but not all of what you want. And the Xbox Elite, and especially the Series 2, just does all that extra that you want without, as I say, you end up with the ones where you pick and choose what you have the ability to do. They charge extra for button remapping. They charge extra for different types of stick. They charge extra for trigger adjustment. They charge extra for stick tension, and you end up just building and building and building and building, and it costs way more than this does. The only thing I wish they'd done with this is I wish they brought in the Xbox Lab Design Lab stuff, where it'd be really nice to be able to put like custom appearance and stuff on it. But hey, so I'm not 100% sure I'll get one like day one, just because that's quite a lot of money to stomach. But
I'm going to be putting money aside for it, like every
and
so
weeks. Smart to let people know that it works with future consoles.
That was the the decision. I guess I was like, yeah, all right, then if it's going to work on the next one. So, Dying Light 2 cinematic trailer, not Troy Baker, protagonist called Aiden, and he's infected.
What with?
Goop.
Infected with waiting for this game to still come out. It
to be out by now. This feels like we should have been out by this point.
Last year felt like a surprise we didn't get a release date.
Last year felt like this year's trailer, and this year's felt like last year's trailer.
And by the way, we still didn't get a release date. Spring 2020. No. Tell me the date. What are you doing with this game? This is wild. It is so wild.
But hopefully it's right when it comes out, I guess. So if Keanu Reeves was the first best smoke coming out of a door in this conference, this was the second best.
Car's back, baby! Yeah, boy, it's Car! Car, man! Car's back! I missed you, Car! Oh, I've dropped my headphones. It's Car!
But the fact that it was a Lego car took people aback a little bit.
Did anyone not notice it was Lego until after the reveal?
Oh yeah, they didn't go in close enough to see it until after you'd seen the trailer. Yeah.
Also, what a trailer! Yeah. What a great idea, but what a trailer!
Me and Laura legitimately laughing our heads off at the reveal. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Nah.
And they had that mix-up of kind of the Lego cars on the regular Forza Horizon 4 streets, which looked wonky and weird anyway. But then you had the real cars just twatting around on a Lego set.
On a fucking town road base.
Yeah, like an older kid had got his cars and he's just running around his younger brothers, like smashing up his playset.
Chucking Hot Wheels at your police station. Like, stop it, I just built that.
Well, the Hot Wheels was on the previous one, and that was really cool. Yeah. But this just looked fantastic, and a brilliant trailer, genuinely brilliant trailer, and it's out.
You wouldn't think Everything Is Awesome would still kick like 3 years later, and as overplayed as it's been, still works.
Yeah.
Did you like the Luigi death stare that he did as the car went past?
But it was a happy face. We go.
Still pretty sinister.
Yeah, this was really cool, and out today, the day of recording, out this week. Yeah, on the Thursday after E3. It's cool,
brilliant, absolutely brilliant. That's what you do.
I didn't realise until I saw them talking to Big Jeff that they had the Lego Speed Champions brand manager or whatever on. So Lego Speed Champions is a pre-existing part of the Lego franchise, a part of Lego's range, I guess, like a Ninjago. I guess it must be, because it seemed you wouldn't set up a brand manager just for one expansion in one game. It felt they were talking about this is a merging between Lego Speed Champions and Forza, so this must be a. I could have googled it and found out, didn't. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm guessing Lego Speed Champions is a pre-existing range of Lego. And
yes, it is. I've just clicked it. Oh my god, there's Ferraris and other car. Porsche 911.
I did like that you got the equivalent of the supercar surrounded by a dinosaur and some sort of transportation and animals and tractors, and it just looked daft as balls. And Paddy, last year you were saying that Forza Horizon 4 was one of your favourite games of the entire show.
Yeah.
And this just... I like that Forza Horizon doesn't take itself as seriously as the main one, but when they're doing DLCs like this, and this is another time for Game Pass, that if somebody's enjoyed Forza Horizon 4 on there and they see this, they're buying the expansion.
Yeah.
Sure.
Chances are.
So from that interview that I'm just going to keep calling him Big Jeff did, Jeff Keighley, I should be specific, I don't think we've actually said. So from that, they were talking about it set. They weren't very specific about how you get to it from the main map, but it's going to be set in its own little valley, this kind of area of... I guess, the main Forza Horizon map that you can now just drive to if you've got the expansion. But really cool that they've got this whole area that's going to be Lego and presumably made out of Lego. Whether that means you can drive off in one of your real-life cars into a Lego environment and vice versa, I don't know. But
they've got a thing in the main game where you can get bigger and bigger houses, and you've got a place to stay. So I presume you can just build it out of Lego now if you want.
Fucking brilliant.
Yeah. Paddy?
Yeah?
These violent delights have violent ends, and in their triumph die like fire and powder, which as they kiss, consume. It's the first quote from the book.
Oh.
What? Are you turning your nose up at that? That's Friar Lawrence to Romeo and Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, Paddy. But
I still did a poo. I mean...
Paddy?
Yeah.
Here he was, strolling gracefully towards me, with the most beautiful smile on his angel's face. That was Bella on Edward. Right, gears pop.
What just happened?
I can't anymore. It's been 5 years on this one podcast.
I snorted. Gears pop.
Oh.
Did you laugh?
This is nothing. This is literally nothing. Put this in the fire. This one ain't cooked.
Right, moving on.
I'll give them one piece of credit. Last year they made a real bad mistake of sandwiching Gears Tactics and Gears Pop all together. And like the Gears logo came up and then they revealed it was Gears Pop and everyone was like, what? It was such an anticlimax, such a bad, confusing way of doing it. This year they completely separated it, so anyone who's interested in Gears got their Gears first. Anyone who wasn't interested in Gears Pop saw the Funko Pop and just went, yeah. Time for a Wii, I guess.
They actually separated it this year by making this the best of the Gears trailers.
Wow, which is hard.
To be fair,
I did giggle at the cat bomb. Yeah. I honestly did.
This had a very Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare feel to the trailer, I thought. Kind of like tongue-in-cheek aspect of Gears.
Who's it for? Because like Funkos are fuck ugly. They are fuck ugly. And I'm sorry, listener, but if you like Funkos, you're wrong. Like, they're fuck awful. And Gears is like,
our
serious.
Listeners left, if they haven't already.
Sorry, listeners, I'm burning listeners. Like, subscribe to our Patreon. I don't know who this is for. It's like, hey, it's kid aesthetic, and also Gears. It's like, well, don't cross over, do they?
But I wonder what the odds are of this selling more than any Gears game has ever, or making more money than it ever has.
I don't think it'll.
Because
I was going to say, I don't think it'll sell anything because it's a mobile game, so it's going to be free, and then they're going to charge you to do everything. Like, I have
Funko
no
chips.
faith that this isn't going to be badly monetized because they have not shown anything about it except there is a Gears mobile game that has Funko. Why does it have Funko Pops in? From the look of the game screen that we saw gameplay, you can't see that they're Funko Pops. So what difference it makes?
You can buy gear chips from the Gears of War Funko store, which are only $7.99 for 500, and you get 50 bonus. Yeah. And for 1,000 gear chips, you can get a golden bandana for the bandana man.
No, you've not been good enough. You can rest until tomorrow and have another 3 goes. Or you can buy some gear chips.
So, I at this point... at this point, I've tried quite a few like mobile tie-in style games. Marvel Puzzle Quest, I hold up there. I think that's great. I think if you want to play that game and spend no money, you can. I don't think they ram it down your throat too much. They're pretty generous with how much time you can play every day without having to wait for health packs to recharge, etc. But the vast majority of other stuff, the Mortal Kombat mobile game, the Injustice mobile game, the what's the one I was just thinking of? Oh, the Marvel, what was it? Was it Marvel Heroes or something? The one that came out like earlier this year.
was awful.
As soon as you fire it up, it's, here's your free character. Oh, would you like to buy this character? Oh, let's do the tutorial. Now you're out of energy. Do you want to buy... And it's just like, there's... The tutorial...
You got any gears, Chips?
The tutorial is...
Here's your free character, Dingus McBumblefuck. Do you want someone cool? Cash up some money.
It literally is.
Free to play a bit.
It's not cough up some money, it's cough up some money to buy diamonds. The diamonds then get you coins. The coins then get you tokens. The tokens then get you upgrade points. What is this?
And a partridge in the pear.
It's so many levels of abstraction at this point, isn't there?
We used to balk at the idea of Xbox Live points, Microsoft points, being a confusing and obfuscating way of buying things, and you always had a few left over, and that was the idea. That was bad, but like 4 layers of this stuff, like every one of these seems to have 4 different types of currency.
Horse armor seems like a really good deal now, doesn't it?
It's really
Do you remember when you
bad.
could just pay £4 and get some stupid golden arm for your horse, and you were done with it? You didn't have to convert it into 17 different currencies and play on the right day of the week to get it?
And I also feel bad for saying this, because maybe Gears Pop won't do it. I'm willing to bet it will, but maybe it won't.
Oh, it will. Oh, look at that game and tell me. It's on a phone, of course it will.
But equally well, they did nothing to reassure me that that wouldn't be the case. Yeah, it was as I say, it was a garden warfare kind of style of trailer. That's quite cute. Oh, here's the gameplay. Well, it looks nothing like it. I have no attachment to what I'm seeing on this screen, and I have no way of relating that to the trailer, the CG trailer I've just seen. It's bizarre.
Do you remember when they did that for Command & Conquer at the EA one a couple of years ago? It's like, it's
that
really
was
big,
last
cool
year.
video, and then it comes down, it's like, that is nothing. This is a nothing game.
The Diablo reaction as well, when everybody's like,
oh, it's just...
Right, let's move on.
Yeah, we spent too long at Gears Funker.
Yeah, so State of Decay 2 Heartland, story-based DLC split between 2 characters. One searching for father they'd never met. The other one... What was the other one? A hero?
One was out looking for a hero that they needed. The other one was looking for a father. Yeah, the woman was looking for a father. The man was looking for a hero.
Did anyone else hear the little noise at the start of the trailer? Which was, I think it was the noise of CJ going, ah!
I thought this looked cool.
What?
Yeah, I thought this looked like the way they presented the trailer. I thought it looked good. I've still not played State of Decay 2. I'm guessing at this point I should skip State of Decay and just jump into 2. But
I enjoyed the first one and really didn't get into the second one. It looked
I thought you liked it. Oh,
it looked my time with the second one. It looked like it was still on the previous generation. Right. It started far slower, and I didn't really play it beyond like about 1 session. I think I actually bought it, but
would this get you back in on like Game Pass? I don't know whether you'd have to buy this as well. Do you think this would get you back in to see if they've tweaked it at all?
No, this is already on Game Pass.
All right, this is going on Game Pass as
well. So, yeah, I fancy playing this because I didn't think the trailer was spectacular, but I liked that it was actually doing story stuff rather than it just throwing me into a more complicated version of the first one without the level of attachment I had to it. So yeah, I'm kind of up for this. Then, holy sweet mother of Jesus and all of its cows in the trailer. Phantasy Star Online 2. I don't even care about the caveat afterwards because I really hope it comes to Europe and not just America. But utterly gobsmacking trailer for a game that everyone was sure would never come to the West. My God, that trailer. It's dinosaurs and battleships and space people and costumes and it's everything that I want. And as Phil Spencer said on that Giant Bomb interview, like the things that Phantasy Star Online did back in the day were things that were eventually embraced by your Destinies and stuff like that. But it never really... It's not resonant or relevant currently within the culture over here. And he was saying that he sat down with the people at Sega and actually said this.
Yeah.
And you know, he actually said, I'm sure it'll come to the other consoles as well. But the fact that this is coming out in the West with all of those expansions and stuff is huge in that trailer, man. Every button pushed. Every button pushed. Patrick?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Once again, I've had the problem I have where like YouTubers ruined stuff. Because I like the videos the McElroy brothers do for Monster Factory, where they take a character creator and they make something just awful, just the worst thing they can. And the one they made in this game, it turns out in the character creator there are sliders that have names on them for like facial features, and are things like, instead of like, you know, broad or wide, it has like adult, child, brawny, cool. So they split all the sliders to adult and cool, and they called the character Adult Cool, and I can't not see it as Adult Cool Game, and his cool jet boots. And his kicks were so good. Like, the jet boots were very, very fun to watch. It looks cool, but hey, it's not coming out here though, is it? Probably, maybe, it might be. There's no news at the moment. Who fucking knows? But yeah, no, it just looks big and mental.
I just hope it's Sega being able to make 2 announcements, and because they said, "Oh, we'll keep you in touch and stuff. We'd really like it too," and it might just be marketing speak.
Yeah.
But I'm desperate to play this.
Yeah, it looks good.
Also, it was hilarious that Sean Bell of the Computer Game Show was off the internet to then come back and do their E3 show, and they could pitch lies to him and all this sort of stuff. And within the space of the entire E3, Phantasy Star Online is coming back, which is one of his favourite ever games, and also he got a huge soft spot for 2 Human, which not only was coming to Xbox One backwards compatibility, but was free.
I still don't know how that game was banned from sale. I don't know how they've done this. Like, when I heard that was banned, I went out and I bought a copy from Amazon before they started getting rid of it. Like, obviously I could still buy second-hand copies. It's not impossible to get hold of. They're not recalling the game. People who own it still own it, etc. I just assumed they would not be able to sell this, and that here they are just offering it for free.
They're not selling it. But they're giving it away. They're not selling it.
I don't know how they've done it. Because surely the lawsuit prevents them from doing that. I don't know how they've done this. Anyway,
they're not selling it. They're giving it away.
But still,
the prestige.
But somebody's had a few beers on each side and made a joke, and the other one's gone, right, that thing that we spoke about. You know, I was bladdered, but Barry there in the corner, he remembered it, and I was joking. What we're going to do? Yeah.
Right.
So then, what do you think about Phantasy Star Online then, James?
I have never played Phantasy Star. I've never played Phantasy Star Online.
Me neither.
I think I saw when they finished up Midnight Resistance, they did a stream of this where all 4 of them got on and played. That was Phantasy Star Online, right?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Vague. I think that's the only Phantasy Star Online I've seen. I didn't really know what to make of it then. This trailer didn't look anything like I remember that game looking, in terms of tone, in terms of characters, in terms of everything. It did not look anything like it. So I still feel like I don't know what this game is. It obviously struck me when I saw it as, here's something that even I, in my ignorance, just never expected to happen. I've heard the to and fro from so many people who are fans of this series. Yeah, it's fairly niche, etc. But there are, on my Twitter feed and the podcasts I listen to, there are fans of these games, and it's just one of those that people thought they were going to have to jump through hoops with VPNs and weird fan translations and stuff to just try and play a cobbled together version of this. And here it is. It was just a moment of what is going on, and then yeah, Sean will never believe this.
I'm looking forward to listening to that reaction. So strangely, like, this next one just blindsided me completely with not only a crap trailer, but I had to look into this afterwards and felt quite stupid. And it's looking across various streams, there are a lot of people that have done exactly like I did. So this was Crossfire X.
What a 90s title.
Right. This was the thing. Like, Phil Spencer was saying, the legendary Smilegate, which made me go,
Ooh.
What? And yeah, so I looked into it. They're a Korean developer, also responsible for Lost Ark, which Arex is going a bit mental about. Like, right, Paddy, if you don't know about this, this is the most played game in the world by player count of all time.
600 million.
660 million players worldwide, right? One of the highest grossing video games of all time, having grossed in lifetime revenue as of 2018 $10.8 billion.
How? What?
Can I tell you what this game is? This game, you know, when you're on like a Kotaku or a gaming website and you scroll down, you get to the bottom and it's, here's the game that they're playing, everyone's playing in China that you've never heard of. That's this game. Yeah. All those clickbait articles that say, you won't believe what game you've never heard of that everyone's playing. It's this game.
Apparently, like the only touchstone I've got from doing a bit of digging on this is the latest iteration of it. Apparently, Remedy did some work on it. But that's all I know. But Mamma Mia, when I was looking into this, I was like, what?
It looks like cheap Counter-Strike. I'm clicking around now because I did again mean to look this up, and it just looks like cheap Counter-Strike.
You don't get to 10.8 billion without it being vaguely decent.
I don't know though.
All right.
660 million players are wrong, are they? We're not talking about a deer game now.
So the touchstone I'd give you is, like, remember the first time you saw PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and you heard it was a big deal and you looked at it and thought, doesn't look that impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, my assumption when I saw the trailer was this must be like a Counter-Strike type thing. Just from the name, it feels like something that someone knocked together as a we'll make our Counter-Strike. Like, it feels like we're not allowed to play Counter-Strike in China, let's make one, type thing. I got nothing of that from the gameplay, from the trailer, sorry, because it was just CG nonsense of I am Joe Army Man, I am angry with Bob Army Man. But I assume it's a factual...
Video Game Donkey calls those games War Butt, and I can't not see those games as War Butt now.
Yeah.
Do you know when you fall out of a skyscraper into some water, do you not give orders underwater?
It looked...
Because I stopped doing it.
The trailer looked like an interpretation of what dumb American and Western action movies look to other cultures that kind of don't get where those films came from, and that kind of thing. Like a Commando or something like that, where it's ridiculous. It looked like someone's take on that, but it came across almost like Saints Row. Like, the characters they had, they weren't caricatures in that way, but the way they were acting was so bizarre that I was like, is it satire? I don't know. I'm not sure.
I didn't get a measure for what it was in the same way as that Gears trailer. I was like, huh?
Yeah. No.
But,
The trailer was nothing. It was a war game. I'm still looking at GIFs. I'm looking at GIFs. It just looks like just old Counter-Strike. Not even the new one. It just looks like old. I don't get it.
But to be fair, if it plays like Counter-Strike, Counter-Strike's still an incredibly popular game. Yeah. It would be unsurprising.
There's so much shit on the screen.
Well,
it's ugly.
So coming
there's just lots of anime girls. I don't. Oh,
really? Oh, okay. That's unfortunate. Coming in 2020, and I think they said first on Xbox, so it may not be a lifetime exclusive. But
oh no! Do I have to wait to play Crossfire X? Oh,
you might.
Yeah,
damn it. But I've waited so long.
Right, Tales of Arise. So jaw-dropping new look for the new Tales game. I am smitten with this. It's the director of the God Eater games. It just looked and sounded absolutely beautiful. This is a real leap for those games, which, let's face it, they've had this certain look, but that look has been, this could have been on PS3 and probably was. But this looked beautiful. Just really gorgeous. To me.
We're all stunned to silence. Yes. I enjoyed the trailer. I think it's just a little bit too anime for me, and I say that as a man who watches a lot of anime now. I say that as a man with an active and very used Crunchyroll subscription right now. We're watching Hunter x Hunter, and people who know what that is, it's quite anime. I don't know, it's just a little bit too magic sword out of the woman for me. I don't know. It looks lovely visually. Don't get me wrong, it looks gorge. But
you're talking as the one of us who's put your magic sword into a woman.
No!
Oh no! Do I have to go get Laura again to tell you off? Because she will. No, this looks really, really pretty. It looks really, really nice. I just think the styling of the actual characters. I don't know, I'm getting a really anime vibe off it, and it's just that little step above where I tend to watch.
That's almost picking out a slice of bread from a bread bag and just getting a real bread vibe. It's not doing anything that a Tales game hasn't done ever.
No, okay, how about that? Alright, no, that's a good analogy, right? So I like a slice of bread. Slice of bread's tasty. Alright, look, you're not on your carbs. You can shut up for a second. You're not on your carbs, right? A slice of bread, it's nice. You can do a lot with a slice of bread. Put some butter on it, have a nice bit. Take the end bread out.
They have done.
You can't do as much with the end bread.
It looks prettier.
The end bread has gone too hard on being bread. It's there's too much bread in now.
This is new next gen bread.
Yeah, but
washed down with.
There's an awful lot of crust on this bread, though.
No, this is.
What are we talking about anymore? I've lost track.
Yeah.
I want a sandwich.
This was a standout of the show for me. That's really at home.
I've never played a Tales game, and the reason I was in stunned silence when you finished was because I just looked at my notes and I'm so embarrassed what I've written.
Go on.
I've never played a Tales game. I was watching the trailer and I thought, wow, this looks great, but I know that. I've never played a Tales game. I've never played any game that looks anything like this, and I'm just not going to find 40 hours to play this. I'm just not.
40 and the rest,
sure,
mate.
Exactly, and the rest, and wanting to play something of the past games to get a feel for them. It's never going to happen. So my note is Tales of Arise, Japanese RPG. That's it.
Too many games, wow. James strikes again.
I literally wrote,
still 2 sentences more than Paddy.
I literally wrote Japanese RPG. That's what.
I'll have you know, I wrote very pretty anime as shit, very weeb.
That's
the most sense you've
ever made. I did go to the extent of putting a full stop after it, so I clearly said everything I had to say about it in those two terms. Japanese RPG, full stop.
No, I'm not trying to belittle it. It does look cool, but it's just that little step above the animes that I don't like, where they're all about magic swords and people shouting.
And
I don't know.
What I do love is this feels like the sort of game that we probably would have seen on Sony's stage had they been there. It would have been easy for Microsoft to kind of mop up the games that they thought, sure, we'll mop those up. This is not a game I expected to see on Microsoft's stage particularly. Especially, we've had Phantasy Star Online 2. We've had games that are not typical for Microsoft to have on their stage, not since the days of... I'm sure if you went back through E3s, you could find examples, but it just felt like a hark back to the days where the Xbox 360 launched and they had that sort of glut of JRPGs and games from the East. Some of it was to try and make the console sell in Japan. Some of it was, we want to bring these games over, we want to get these creators making games for Xbox. This obviously will be on PlayStation. It's not going to be an Xbox exclusive, but they put it here front and center in their E3, and that's really cool. It's just not a series.
Last year had the remake of Tales of Vesperia on the Xbox stage, and Tales of Vesperia was obviously one of the games that you were talking about on 360. So the only downside I can see to this is that this would have been a really impactful trailer to most of the people that like this sort of stuff if it hadn't been leaked.
Sure. Okay.
And I think it hit hard. And when I was watching the Easy Allies reactions to this show, and Keanu came out, one of the guys said, "Don't tell me that leaks don't ruin conferences." Because that one was just, everybody went mental. And like I say, this was such a leap on for it visually from previous Tales games, and nobody'd seen anything of this at this point. I just would have, sort of crowbarred people in a way that people already knew what it was beforehand, which is a real shame. So. But yeah, I'm excited for this. So, Borderlands 3, the dodgy money stealing magician, and his new game that everybody's looking forward to. Plus the cool side new DLC for Borderlands 2, which bridges Borderlands 2 and 3.
I'm not proud of my note here. Much like James last time, I'm very not proud of what I've written here. So, what I've written is, I've written Borderlands 3 hyphen is Borderlands.
I mean,
that's it.
You're not wrong.
I look at these trailers and I look at Borderlands 2 and I look at the first, and I can't tell which one I'm looking at. It's just they're all the same. I'm really sorry, and I know they do look different, and I've said this to people at work, and they're like, but how? It looks really different. Like, no, it's just cel-shaded men running around shooting the robot. And there's a lot of guns, I guess. Yeah. I've got the Handsome Collection from Plus this week. I thought, oh, maybe I'll download that, and I just looked at it, and I just couldn't stomach the thought of doing it again. I've done Borderlands 1. It was fine. I had my time with it. It was good, but I was done by the time I was finished. Like, I've finished this now. I don't need to do the DLCs. I'm finished. I just have no desire. The humour doesn't hit me at all. Like, it's that kind of lol random claptrap humour. It's that Family Guy humour that everyone loves so much. It's just a big pile of nothing for me, this whole franchise is. I want to love it. I might give the Tales from the Borderlands game a go if Telltale still allowed to sell it anymore. Whoops, maybe that's already gone. Fuck, I don't know. This is just nothing. I don't even remember the trailer. I remember that the Lilith thing and that this was Borderlands. I don't remember a fact from the trailer. I'm sorry. James, please help me.
I mentioned earlier, obviously, I'm having a tough time with this game, and I had a tough time with Borderlands 2. Borderlands was, I'm pretty sure if I look back at my list of favourite games from that year, when I made my top 10 list of favourite games from that year, Borderlands was my number one. It was 2008. Mm-hmm. I absolutely loved that. The humour got me. Yeah, that makes me a ridiculous, awful man-child, but the humour got me. Then I was obviously 10 years younger than I am now. The humour still gets me. Then 2011, Gearbox bought up the right to publish and the right to the franchise of Duke Nukem and just fired out what by all accounts was an awful game. I've heard very few people say there was anything about Duke Nukem Forever that was redeeming.
Oh, it's really funny, like, to laugh at.
Sure. Okay.
Like, I watched the Two Best Friends play video of it, and the aliens that drop down silently on tiny cat feet. Yeah. It's terrible.
So when they put that out, some people kind of said essentially to Randy Pitchford, why would you put this game out? And he just, to my memory, and it's not a quote, it's just my memory of what was said, just said, the agreement was, we put this game out essentially as is, and we get the Duke Nukem character and license. And it's like, so the people who wanted that game to be good, the people who want to play that game, they just cough up the money and for your benefit, do they? It awful. Just no awareness of how that reads to customers of his company. And then girlfriend mode quote came out from one of the developers of Borderlands 2, which was essentially releasing a character, an extra character that will come out after the fact, after the game's released, and it's perfect for, it doesn't require skill, it's a nice easy character to play. We refer to this character as girlfriend mode. And there was a gesture towards, no, that's just that one guy said that. He pretty much said, no, that's the way we as a studio refer to this. It was rotten. A rotten thing to have said, and a rotten non-apology hand wave of having said it at all. Just a crappy thing to have said. And it sounds like such a ridiculous thing. I was so looking forward to Borderlands 2. I should have just not thought of that. Up until about a week or so before that game came out, I was just like, I'm not playing this game. I'm not being part of that company's awful way of treating people. And I know I overreact to some of this stuff because I have done this with many companies many times. With Borderlands 2, I was like, no, you know what? One guy said this. Who am I to presume that then reflects on an entire company full of people, many of whom I'm sure were embarrassed by that, many of whom put so many hours hard work in. And plus, I wanted to play the game, and that's a really selfish, shitty way of looking at it, but I did. I played Borderlands 2, and I loved every single second of it. I thought it was just as funny. I thought bringing in the people they brought in for voice acting, the people they brought in for scripting, Anthony Birch was on it. Ashley Birch, I want to say, was the voice of Tiny Tina.
Yeah.
I liked that character. I know that character wasn't particularly popular with anyone. There was questions over whether that character was sensitive in terms of the way that she acted, the way that she talked, etc. I thought the humour around that character landed. I thought the game was just brilliant. I loved every second of it. And then came, I mean, it's like a laundry list. Aliens, Colonial Marines, everything Randy Pitchford had to say about that. Every single time Randy Pitchford has opened his mouth or said anything, it has been just, it feels like such a slap in the face to everyone who works at that studio and everyone who is a fan of the games that studio makes. Just everything he does makes me want to throw up. That sounds like such an overstated reaction, but I literally...
Didn't he have a go at someone on Twitter recently who reported that Borderlands 3... will have microtransactions. Don't fuck me like that.
Microtransactions. It would not have any of that shit he said. And then after the fact, he said, no, I meant we will have microtransactions, but it won't be pay to win. That's not what you said. So when a games media outlet reports what you said, don't fucking pretend they're throwing you under the bus. You misspoke. Own that mistake. And he can't. He cannot. It's never his fault. It's never him that's the problem. It's embarrassing. It is so cringeworthy, and that's not even like accounting for the fact he's been accused of assaulting a member of staff who it's unclear. Like he voiced Claptrap. He was an employee who was working in the game in another capacity and voiced. It's not unusual for members of the team to give their voices either as placeholder and then they end up getting used, or actually to voice the character. He voiced Claptrap. He's now left, and he said, look, I wasn't paid for voicing him in Borderlands or Borderlands 2. I feel like I should have been paid for that extra work I did. And they offered to pay him for Borderlands 3, and he said, I don't want paying for Borderlands 3, but I'd like the fact that I wasn't paid for the originals addressed. And apparently Randy Pitchford basically threw him under the bus, started bad-mouthing him, and then eventually assaulted him in a hotel lobby. Just stuff like that, and then leaving the USB drive in the medieval times with company sensitive info and porn on it. It's just, the guy has...
He's a slime.
And that's not to mention the, is it $10, $13 million bonus that he negotiated to be paid directly to him, not to Gearbox Studios from 2K.
I feel the same way about the guy, and I know what you mean with regards to the entire studio that's working hard to make a game that a lot of people are looking forward to. But this, I enjoyed the first Borderlands. The second one I got to a certain point with and enjoyed, and I think that I was renting that from Love Film, I think, and sent it back. I've tried a couple of times. I went back to the Handsome Collection recently because I picked it up cheaply, and it felt very old and very of its time, and it didn't seem to move well, and it didn't seem to shoot well. And I'm sure all of those have been corrected for Borderlands 3, and there seems to be like a ton of ideas, but I'm not in a race to play it.
So the weird thing is that after, like, I'd paid no attention to, like, I'd heard the stories of Randy doing magic at the reveal to try and entertain the audience while they sorted out video issues. Wow, I'm so glad I wasn't watching. Well, like, some people were getting a kick out of the kind of morbid curiosity of this train wreck. I obviously saw this because I was watching it. It looked so much up my alley. Yeah, like Borderlands 2 fixed some of the clunky stuff in the same way that, like, people remember BioShock playing more smoothly than it did, but actually BioShock 2 properly allowed you to dual wield the plasmids and guns. Those sorts of...
BioShock 2 is my favourite, man.
So those sorts of changes occurred between Borderlands and Borderlands 2, and I'm sure they will occur again. And... like, I was pinning hopes on Rage 2. I felt like the time was right for me to want to play a Borderlands-style loot shooter. But I didn't want to play Borderlands 3, and I thought maybe Rage 2 will split the difference, get some like Doom style gunplay with some kind of loot and open world style stuff, and just everything I heard about that game leading up to release and reviews I read, it didn't sound like the sort of thing I thought, no, you know what, if I want Doom style shooting, I'll wait for Eternal. We will get to that. So I went, when I saw this, I was like, you know what, I really still want to play one of these games. And they did the perfect thing to get me wondering about whether or not I should be playing this game again, which is not a sight nor sound of Randy Pitchford or even his name in anything I have seen or heard in interviews I've watched about this game at E3. Why haven't they done this for the last 5 years? I don't know. Maybe someone has learned, but I'm literally like, I'm umming and ahhing, and that's, I guess, it's not their intention, because they would never have intended someone to not want to play their game in the first place. But this footage and this trailer, and it just kind of got me wondering whether or not how I like re-examining how I feel about it, which is kind of a weird compliment to pay this trailer, but it wasn't something I expected to feel.
An ongoing conversation with self.
I did think it was weird. So the Children of the Vault are kind of the cult that the two twins who are the bad guys of this game are in charge of. And they, in the trailer it said, the Children of the Vault has 10 billion followers. And my note is, do numbers mean anything anymore? Like, this series had a bazillion guns, and then however many billion it was in Borderlands 2. And it's just like, a cult with 10 billion followers. I'm not sure that's a cult anymore. That's a planet. That's a number that makes no sense. How do two people run a cult of 10 billion in any way that isn't a disorganized, split, fragmented? It's not. That's a number that sounds big, so they did it. It doesn't. Anyway, that was just a weird thing.
They might just be leaning into the millions of guns.
I'm sure they are.
Well, it depends. If the population of the said zone is 40 trillion, then 10 billion, it's a small amount. It's a cult. It's all in relation to each other.
But it's still a bigger, it's still a bigger number than you can organise to all go in the same direction at the same time. It's still fragmented and factioned in a way that, like, our planet's split up into countries. Each country doesn't act in any uniform way either.
I think it's just a comedy number to justify shooting the same dude over and over again.
It just struck me as really weird. I started applying way too much logic to the fact that if you, like, when people organise, there's a kind of number beyond which they're no longer organised, and that's like about 1 billion times more than that. Anyway, that's where my head was at.
I'm staring at the word Elden Ring, and I'm carrying on with it. Miyazaki and George R.R. Martin, Tanimura allegedly directing. The art style was gorgeous. I loved the music. I loved the way they said Elden Ring. Everything about this as a reveal trailer just ignited me. I thought it looked fantastic. It looked nothing like Dark Souls. It was super colourful. I liked the little dwarf man. Just everything about it.
The tusked warrior looking up to the sky that was red and on fire, and he started glowing. That looked straight out of like a glam rock, like glam metal album cover or something. It was just astonishing. Just such cool imagery.
I'm excited.
Like right from the start.
I'm a big fan of the trailer stuff. My note I've written here, which I couldn't read for a moment, and I've just realised what it says. The anvil stuff. I thought I'd written anal.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I'd written anal stuff. The anvil stuff. Like, give me anvil stuff in a game. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like,
but the delivery over the top of it was so passionate. It could almost have been Welsh or something. It'd be like Elden Ring. It was just like it got a certain resonance and a certain delivery. It was like somebody was reading a poem to the valleys.
Yeah.
It was glorious. But again, another one of those that would have been fantastic if not for that leak.
Yeah.
Very vague, I thought. I thought this trailer was very vague. It's that kind of like, here's some sparse images.
Yeah. The reveal
YouTubers, go nuts. Take half an hour. Talk about how you think you've got the plot of the game worked out already, like a twat.
Vatty's got about 5 hours worth out of this already, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Did you know that the Elden Ring is old because of the word Elden?
I loved the opening where you just see the really dim, distant flash, and then you start hearing the hammer in sync with it. I was just from the moment that came up, I was like, "This is it, isn't it?" Obviously, I'd seen the leak that happened. It was like 2 weeks before, I guess, where George R. R. Martin had kind of said that he'd been working on a game out of Japan, and everyone immediately
just assumed, didn't they?
I think there was enough rumour out there, and enough people in games media kind of already knew that the cat just got out the bag a bit. Although apparently it was only known by its project name. I think Elden Ring did leak before the conference as well, but it was Great Rune it was known as 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? I saw quite a few people saying, well, I don't have any sense of what it is, and I think a lot of people have maybe forgotten or never saw like the teaser reveals for pretty much everything.
Yeah, this is
the way it happens.
This is the way from Do It. They're like, it'll be the point where it's almost finished. There'll be a teaser trailer that has loads of speculation around it. This is probably more than they've given us for a while from a
longer.
teaser.
Yeah.
Then we'll get like a glimpse of gameplay. Then people will get hands on it. Then there'll be sort of more details about it. Then there'll be a release date, and all of this is within about 6 to 8 months.
I mean, the reveal for Sekiro was a close up of the arm and the cable on it tightening.
And we didn't even know it was an arm. I thought it was a fishing rod.
Exactly. So, and like Project Beast, when it was first announced, like we saw barely anything of what that was going to be. Even the Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 teasers, like, yes, you have a certain understanding of what that's going to be because of the name of it, but in terms of what it was going to be about, etc., yeah.
This was the most like Dark Souls 3's teaser trailer.
Yeah.
Like the first we saw of Dark Souls 3. But yeah, I'm excited to see more of this, and apparently it's not leaning so heavily into difficulty. It's going to be more into kind of RPG and mechanics.
Oh,
and
thank
that
fuck.
Kind of stuff.
That's the sound of me unclenching after a week.
No, but the thing is for me that's the big flag to wave on. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Yui Tanamura and the way that he got Dark Souls 2 out on time, fixed the issues, did the amazing DLC on his own, did the remix Scholar of the First Sin. I like the thought of Tanamura directing and showing exactly what he can do.
And not under the auspices and under the weight of the name Dark Souls 2. That comes with so many expectations and so many people picking over all the differences. This is something different, and people know that out of the gate. I'm not saying that means people aren't going to be disappointed with whether it's more like Sekiro or more like Bloodborne or more like Dark Souls or something completely different. There's obviously going to be people who have expectations just based on the names that popped up at the beginning, but there's a freedom there to break the mold in ways that he tried to with Dark Souls 2 and was pushed back against by the fans. So no,
give me slow, give me thoughtful, please give me a slow game. Let me play a nice slow Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls 1 style slow game. I can just anyone else notice the robotic arm?
Well, the robotic arm and the flesh arm that there's a lot of arm.
All right, we made Sekiro. We've got an idea. Let's use it a few more times.
No, the thing that I've heard in the that I've seen in the notes I've read are that you will battle through kingdoms to reach kings, and once you defeated them, you will get their powers. And I presume a lot of that is maybe wearing their armor or their arms or whatever it is. Yeah, to gain those powers. So it sounds quirky and weird, and I 100%.
Yeah, that's the other thing. This is rumoured to be open world, but not like to have different cities you can go to, but different like kingdoms. But there'll be like, here's a castle to go to. So almost more Zelda-ish, where you're going to this dungeon, that's that dungeon, maybe.
I read something earlier today that says you get a horse.
Yeah. Again, that makes sense.
There's a horse in it.
Yeah. Plus the rumours that it's Norse mythology or Norse Viking related.
Norse inspired, I think.
That came over a little bit in the teaser, but not like, it wasn't stonking. It wasn't like, here's your classic Viking helm, here's a club or an axe or whatever. It felt much more.
I think it might be more like in the same way as Dark Souls series was inspired by European architecture, and I think this might be Japan's take on Norse mythology and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm super up for this.
I'd quite like it if halfway through the game, because it's all Norse, Kratos just turns up. This is God of War 2 now.
I'm out.
Ah! That axe just flies in from the side. Boy. Oh, shit!
I really liked as well that the title screen announcing the collaboration, both names on there exactly. Like, this wasn't a hey George R.R. Martin. No, this is Miyazaki, George R.R. Martin. They've laid the groundwork for what the game's going to be, and then presumably Yu Tanimura has taken that sort of story lead on and built the game out from there. That's exciting. I
think don't underestimate as well, because we've all seen the rise of From, but how big this game's going to be when it launches because of the George R.R. Martin stuff. This is going to be, the sort of stuff that you've seen with, a Call of Duty or something like that. It's going to bring people in from the other side that aren't really into this sort of stuff, because it's going to be huge.
And
excited.
Back with Bandai Namco as well, which is interesting, because obviously it is going to make a difference who From are partnered with for publishing. That's going to make a difference to what kind of game is being essentially asked for, and it's going to make a difference as to who they're partnered with. I hope that means we don't get Hot Wings.
We'll get onion rings.
Yeah, who knows?
Elden Ring, onion rings. Come on, that's a challenge.
But yeah, I liked what I saw of this. I liked all this is ever going to be the same as any other teaser that From's put out. It's a flavour of what to expect from a visual and tone aspect, and this was all in. If it's something that's more RPG-like than Sekiro was, I'd be down for that. I enjoyed Sekiro, but I definitely felt it was lacking in the character customization aspect that I did miss in terms of the playstyle. I mean, as well as the appearance. I did miss that a little bit. So I'd be up for this. Did we get any kind of release window for this? No,
not yet. They normally launch around about April time. So maybe maybe we'll see a bit more at Gamescom.
If it's March, April's looking busy. I mean, April's Cyberpunk, May is Avengers.
Oh, it won't be April then.
Well,
yeah. Well, fuck Avengers, like shite.
Hang on,
we'll get there later. Wrong show.
But the
Uncanny Valley Avengers.
The point is, February, March, April are looking busy for game releases. I'm not suggesting that would put From off releasing then, but if you weren't sure you could hit, you would leave it.
We'll see, I guess. Yeah. So we then got a tickle into console streaming, free from October, either from your home console or Microsoft's data center. I think they're trialing that from October, seeing what people think.
I thought this was really clear, and yet everyone seemed confused about it.
Yeah.
Like people, Phil was really clear.
What was hard about this?
You can stream games. Project xCloud is launching in October. You can stream from the Blades in our servers, so that's streaming as we've known it. You pay either a subscription fee or you pay for the game based on what Google are kind of saying they're going to do, and you stream the game. So it could be to a tablet, it could be to a TV, to a device where you can stream the game to, and you play it on there. Easy, simples, right? And then he said, or you can stream from your console. And people started getting confused as to what that means. And okay, I remote play's not a thing you want to compare yourself to, because most people kind of tried that. A lot of people have had problems with it. Didn't quite work as well as you wanted. It's pretty clear though, Microsoft think they found a way to stream from a console to a tablet or a TV that, whether it's remotely or in your own house, that they think works. That's plain clear, isn't it?
Well, Jeff Gersman tried it out, and he was saying that he actually saw the PC and where it was connecting to, and Phil Spencer was like, we're not, the server's not in the Microsoft theatre over the road, It's actually like somewhere in the Bay Area or wherever it was. And you were even saying like Bluetooth to your phone isn't super reliable, so there's you can have like a short USB connection into the back of your controller that goes into the phone, and it's a more secure link between controller and phone, just like a short one. But they seem to be super open about it and honest, and obviously they're working with Sony on all of this stuff as well, so it's exciting to see that they're working on it. And it'd be kind of neat to be able to get on a bus and pick up on. Maybe I wouldn't play like a Destiny or something, but if I was doing like a top-down RPG or something that was perhaps a little bit slower, that's the sort of game that I'd play on. It'd be cool to, Tales of Vesperia or something, take from my home console and then take onto a bus or something.
I think the only surprising thing to me was Google kind of laid out their plan. And I think it was a shock. So this was the Thursday before E3 started. It was kind of like I hadn't thought through how streaming was going to work. So I assumed it was going to be Netflix model, pay your $10 a month, here's the however many games you've got available to you. They're streamed rather than. And actually, like my first reaction to Google was, hang on, I still have to buy the games. And it's like, because I'm thinking from a point of view of, well, I buy games now, so what difference does it make if I buy a game to stream or buy it outright? It didn't seem to offer anything. But of course, actually, that's not the point. The point is not having to buy the console. Like the point of Google Stadia launching at the end of the year is start to get the service rolled out, and then when time comes where I'm looking at a £500 bill to buy the next Xbox Project Scarlet or PlayStation 5, and I'm thinking, wow, don't really have £500 now, but I really want to play that Assassin's Creed game that's coming out, I can. That's and there was that disconnect where Google announced their pricing, and I was like, this doesn't sound like a good deal for anyone, because I hadn't thought through how to use that service. Like the notion of paying £10 a month for games that I'm going to have to buy anyway sounds bizarre, but when you start to think, no, hang on, it can't work the way I thought it was going to work, really, because Game Pass is already that, and that's just getting the games without offering the streaming service. So I think the surprise...
I'll be honest, I especially with the things that Microsoft have put in place this generation, I trust Microsoft on this stuff far more than just Google. For sure.
So the thing I was going to say, the weird thing about this was Google kind of came out and actually were pretty... It was confusing watching, but then reading and putting it all together afterwards, it all kind of gives an overall picture of how that service is going to work. I still don't trust that. Like they said, we'll have a regular release schedule of games for the subscription. What's regular? Is it 1 a month? Is it 2 a month? Is it whatever? Microsoft have a track record of, here's what you get for Gold, here's what you get for Game Pass. We're very clear. We've now combined it all into Game Pass Ultimate, so it's now even more clear what you get for your $10.99 a month. It is in UK pounds, $14.99.
Even with the consoles moving forward, then they've always been quite upfront about what they're doing.
Yeah. So it was kind of bizarre to me to not see pricing, given it's launching a month before Stadia launches. And presumably, I mean, they're talking about how it's going to work. They obviously know that they've got the infrastructure in place, they've got the systems in place to make this work. It's kind of bizarre we didn't get pricing for that, I thought. It felt like that was the missing bit, was is this £5 a month extra on top of Game Pass? Does that then mean you get a Game Pass Ultimate Plus or something? Or is it just going to be, no, you pay for your Game Pass, you get access to those games, then you choose to stream the games or not on top of that, and how does that work? That's kind of the grey area that I was missing here. And as I say, it only looked strange because Google announced all that stuff, and it kind of felt like this was Microsoft's to knock out of the park, but without knowing the pricing, I can't really know how much they've kicked Google in the teeth.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, we then went into Project Scarlet. Apparently 4 times the power of the Xbox One X, hardware ray tracing, frame rates of above 100 frames per second, which is
120 they say it can go up to.
Yeah, holiday 2020.
Yeah.
excited.
I thought it was also interesting that when they were kind of doing an intro to it, and the stuff that they focused on from an engineering point of view was Xbox One X, most powerful console, elite controller, best controller, Xbox Live, best online service. Here's the hits, folks, and here's what comes next.
Yeah.
I thought that was it was a really obvious, it wasn't a very subtle way of doing it, but it was also very smart to say, we've made the best stuff. It may not have been the most successful this generation, whatever. We've made the best hardware. Here's what comes next. And it seems to match what PlayStation have said about the next PlayStation in that Wired, was it, interview that Mark Cerny gave?
Yeah.
They mentioned AMD Zen 2, a couple of things to do with AMD tech that they're going to be using, but as per usual, it's going to be a x64 based architecture, but with custom chips made by AMD, so that the GPU and CPU are on the same board and work together more closely than your average PC would, and are more optimized for games, etc. Also, Phil just straight out saying, we've heard you want a machine that plays games. Straight up, like full stop under, we ain't gonna fuck this up like we did last time, folks.
Well, it seems like there were rumours of 2 consoles, and thankfully they look like they've punted one of them away.
I think because they've said, or they hinted at, the current Xbox Ones will be able to stream to the box as well as from the box. So they actually, arguably, the 2 models was, here's the bells and whistles and here's the streaming box. Why would they need a streaming box if they can just sell you the Xbox One S? Like, literally keep that. If that's what you need, keep producing that, I guess.
With your 4K driving.
Yeah, and don't muddy the waters on what the new Xbox is. Like, in 2-3 years' time, get rid of the Xbox One and say, this is now a streaming dongle, essentially, which is all you need, as Google have proved.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's smart. Focus on Scarlett is the next big swinging dick in the room, basically. Sorry, that's graphic, but you know what I mean. That's what the next year is going to be. The next year is going to be PlayStation and Xbox proving who's got the bigger, better console. And we've been through this before with, we've got more RAM, but our RAM bus is faster, but our hard drives... We've been through all of this. My only concern out of all this is SSDs are expensive. Ray tracing graphics cards are expensive. Hard drive space is going to be bigger, so a bigger SSD, that's expensive. I presume it's going to have a 4K Blu-ray drive. That's expensive. It's just...
Yeah, it has, yeah.
From the specs that Sony put out, I don't see how this isn't the dreaded £600-700 or dollar console. I still don't think Sony want to put out a $600 console after what happened with the PS3. I still think that's a number they do not want to say in a conference.
Do you think, in the same way that we've been talking about Game Pass going for like a pound or $1 and stuff, that Microsoft, to win the generation, will be happy to take a loss for a certain amount to get people back on board and then build things up from there? Because I don't think that's too far out of the ballpark.
As far as up until Wii U / Switch, Nintendo were notorious for, they would not sell their consoles at a loss, which is why their consoles were, like, Wii was underpowered versus other consoles, was, we're not selling this at a loss. In order to make it priced competitively, it's going to be a weaker console. But Microsoft and Sony, until they did their slim revision, which was in order to bring in cheaper hardware that could now be produced more cheaply, they made a loss. I don't know how much of a loss you take, because the rumoured specs of this stuff feels like 800 quid's worth of tech. I don't know how you sell that for 500 quid and make that much of a loss on the hardware.
It can't be above 500 quid. Not for a launch console. 100% cannot, because you've fucked it at that point.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, like, what are we? 15 years down the line, nearly, I guess, since that PS3 launch is so infamous. $600. How are we going to afford that? Get a second job. I don't know how someone walks out on a stage and says $600 without that just being this massive shadow over it.
That was essentially Sony's version of Microsoft's Xbox One launch.
It was, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was.
It was just
It was
like,
exactly
look how much
one.
momentum.
Yeah.
But there's a history within video games of people taking the lead and then getting arrogant and punting themselves into the bin, which is why I'm hoping. I mean, Spencer in that Giant Bomb video was saying that obviously he's super competitive and wants to be number one, but that doesn't mean the other the competition must do really badly, because competition is good for everything. He was saying about crossplay, like it's cool that if people with different kids with different consoles who want to play in the same game can play and connect at the same time and not feel left out and stuff. That stuff's great. It feels like, and also you were saying that more people are playing games than ever before.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to see for next gen. I just want to see two companies that are focusing on the games, that aren't screwing over the customer, and it's just big ideas and cool stuff. And that's
in this world of like you can
happy.
stream anything to anything. Like, you know, it doesn't make sense for you can play anything on any game except these two particular cases.
Yeah.
These two machines don't want to play together. Everything else is fine.
Pad, on Dauntless, how many times have we gone, I can't believe I'm talking to you from a different console.
At least
and I'm
4
playing
times
with you on a
per
different...
session.
But it's amazing.
Wizardry.
It's so great. It's the clearest, most lag-free gaming that I think we've ever done.
Yeah, it's mental. It's wizardry that it shouldn't be that easy. Yeah. And if it's that, like, it's simple. Like, and
I think that brought it home, didn't it?
Yeah.
That this has to be a thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the interesting thing from Microsoft's position is they have the cloud tech that Sony... I've not tried PlayStation Now. I've never been encouraged to, because word of mouth on it is so bad.
Oh, it's shocking. Yeah.
It just in no world do I want to try that at all. Microsoft have a service that it may prove that it doesn't work as well as they suggest. Google are confident in it. Microsoft are confident in it. Everybody else seems to be getting on board with this stuff. It feels like we must have passed the tipping point where the tech is there. Microsoft have Game Pass as Game Pass Ultimate now, where I'm paying $10.99 a month, which is about £130 a year. Over the course of 4 or 5 years, I'm essentially paying them a console's worth of money. I think Microsoft are in a really interesting position where, and I think Sony will get to this stage as well, but Microsoft, it feels like they're already there, where actually they don't, as Phil said, they don't need to sell a console as long as they're getting you on their service to play games somewhere. So if Game Pass comes to Switch, if Game Pass comes to PlayStation, I don't think it will. We're in a world where it wouldn't be the daftest thing I heard if it did, because of the degree of cooperation between these companies. And
I love the fact that they're cooperating, that they're both kind of working on the streaming solution together. I like it when the companies talk to each other.
And there's a world in which come October, November next year, whenever the console launches, I do think, hang on, I don't have £500 for a console. You know what, though? I do still have my Xbox One X that I can stream everything to. Are Game Pass games going to be streamable? There's no reason they couldn't be. So I can keep up my Game Pass subscription, not buy the new console, and buy the games, and I can just decide to stream it. So actually, there's this weird world in which Microsoft don't need Scarlett to be successful in order to be successful as a gaming company, which is just bizarre. It's so far...
I mean,
sorry, go on.
Tying into what's coming next, they've said that Halo Infinite will be playable on the original Xbox One, as well as the X, as well as the Scarlet, and they were asked if they would be different discs for that, and they've said it's not. They haven't crossed that road yet, but I presume it'll be the thing.
I think that happens with the X.
Like with
put the disc in, download the update or the pack.
Yeah, it gets rid of. It just downloads like the 4K assets and then kind of doesn't download or doesn't use the stuff for the Xbox One. But that's a curious one. But
and they've also said. Yes, they've absolutely said outright, because part of the reason they're now ending backwards compatibility lists is they've moved all of that team over onto making sure that every generation of Xbox up until now is going to work on Scarlet. So we're also in the position where, unlike with PlayStation 4 in particular and Xbox One at launch as well, to be fair, I can just say, here is my Xbox One X. May I please have a Scarlet? And I know that every disc I have, every game I already have in my digital library, according to what Microsoft are saying right now, will work.
Yeah.
I'm not losing out by doing that. I don't even have to worry about, like at the moment, I still have a 360 sitting around somewhere. It's not hooked up to a TV. Still have a PS3 sitting around. It's not hooked up to my TV. I just don't want that many consoles hooked up at once, which means I never really get them out to play any games on, because it's just hassle. It all sounds almost too good to be true, but I'm so looking forward to seeing where this next generation goes, because Sony's Jim Ryan's line of, we don't think there's value in EA access, we don't think our players actually make use of backwards compatibility. And their arguments over not having crossplay, they are the most weak arguments for what is either we're in the ascendance, we don't need to worry about doing what our customers want, or we don't want to, essentially. It doesn't make business sense, therefore we're not doing it. It's
you can tell the people that are in power that play games and the people that are businessmen, and Ryan is businessman, and I hate it every time he opens his mouth. It's nothing good is there.
He's Randy Pitchford, but in charge of too much stuff.
He is.
He's awful.
It's all bitter, and like
his immediate response to everything is defensive. Here's why we're doing the right thing and everyone else is wrong. It's Randy Pitchford. You're absolutely right. It's just immediately that. It's like, well, no, obviously this is the way Sony are doing it, and because we're in the lead in this generation, it must be the right thing. It's like, no, a little bit of self-awareness, that
a little bit of humility doesn't hurt
either.
And
Sony are in a tough position. PlayStation 4 cannot do PlayStation 3 backwards compatibility because PlayStation 3 was weird. Cell processor, different structure, cannot emulate these games, certainly not on PlayStation 4. I get they're in a tough place, but they're going to have to they don't have to. It's going to start looking odd that they are not providing that stuff, especially when it gets to the point of having server racks where they could fill a Microsoft Server Center with PlayStation 3s in order to offer streaming of those games. That's what they're going to have to do, because it's not going to run on standard server blade hardware. So, it's really interesting. I presume the PlayStation 5 is going to play PlayStation 4 stuff, and any digital purchases will carry over. That it has to.
Yeah.
It's great that they're saying DualShock 4s will work. I've got, like I'm saying with my Xbox One X, if I trade that in, I've still got a couple of Microsoft Xbox pads. Same thing with my PlayStation 4. I've got spare pads that, I could trade them in if I'm trading the console in. It's so much easier if it's just a second pad for multiplayer, or for couch co-op or whatever it might be.
Well, I liked it. I liked it on PlayStation 3. Like I liked using my PlayStation 2 controllers on my PlayStation 3. That was my pad of choice at that point. It wasn't as bulky or as.
I thought I was your pad of choice.
No.
Well, I'll give you a thing about old controllers. I actually opened up a DualShock 2 packaging box the other day and put a new DualShock 2 out to play Onimusha with on my PS2, because my old controller. We've literally had this thing sitting there for about 5 years. I was like,
cool.
It smelled weird. There was a weird plastic smell in that box, but it was just nice to hold the old thing. And this is a good thing. I remember this. Yeah. What a good controller.
Yeah, it's a good controller.
Yeah, but I'm just to wheel back a little bit. My life is changing this year.
Yeah.
I have very different priorities going forward now. And I mean, as we'll cover this later, but this has made this a very strange E3 for me because I'm not really looking at it going, I'm going to buy all the games. It's like I might be able to buy one or two of these games, to justify to myself, like my priority is not myself anymore.
Before you can get the kid out working.
Well, yeah, exactly. Get him out in the field. But yeah, I'm having to look at these cloud and streaming services, and I'll be honest, take a picture of the cloud, get a black marker, draw some legs and a face on it. It's a sheep. I'm counting that sheep. I'm falling to sleep. Like I don't have the brain to care about the cloud, which is, let's be fair, someone else's computer. That's all that is. Yeah. It's someone else's computer. And every company says, "Oh, we've nailed it." Oh no, we've nailed it. We've nailed it. Like, I don't have a contract on my phone for infinite 3G. I have to hook into Wi-Fi where I go because I'm cheap and I try and save money on it. I don't have access to brilliant Wi-Fi and brilliant internet wherever I go. Like, I just want the fucking machine that works. Again, we'll cover this tomorrow, but Bethesda said something about on their show about, oh yeah, we're gonna make sure that this hardware's working really well so you can see it at home. Like, no, make your fucking shit work on my machine first, then fix your own shit. Yeah. Like, and I'm still very, very wary of all this cloud stuff. I don't think it will work for me. The sort of places where I'd want to play it, like at work, I'll need a 3G or a 4G or a 5G.
Sure.
And whichever many Gs we're up to make it work smooth. And I don't care about 4K or any of that shit. I just want it to play nice. But unless you're trying to play something slow where the lag isn't going to be a problem, I can't see myself using it anywhere. Like, I just want a box at home. But like you say, I'm in this position now where a £500 box next Christmas probably out of the question, and that'll be the first time in about 10 years where I've not been day one on the new PlayStation console, for very least, because that's the one I buy, because that's the one I like, and that's the one that has the shit that I want. If this cross-play stuff goes well and we all can play together on the games that we want to play together, fucking brilliant, because it means we haven't got to then worry like, I've got to buy all the consoles to play all the games. Like, no, you can buy most of the consoles and play still all of the games. Well, and you get the ones that have the special stuff that you want.
Which for you, let's be honest, that's PlayStation. And that's
it. I'm buying a PlayStation. I'm not an Xbox. I'm not part of that. The big games on the Xbox just don't appeal to me. We'll get to one of those in a minute. Your Gearses and stuff just don't appeal enough to warrant another box. Like, I don't care.
Mind you, last gen, neither did the PlayStation one.
But
it's true.
I've drifted for that particular. That large kind of game just has not hit for me anymore. Like, your Horizon Zero Dawns and your Days Gones, which, like, this is good example. We were talking about Jedi earlier. 5 years ago, that was my shit. That's the kind of game that I'd buy and I'd eat up. These days, it's so far from that. Like, I'd rather try something weird and odd and different and strange than just like a big standard game, if you know what I mean, like a standard Sony game. They just don't hold my interest anymore.
That's why we're in such an interesting time, though, because if you play Fortnite, if you play Apex Legends, if you play Dauntless, you don't need. I don't know how that works with streaming, because where do they get any money out of you? Like, at least if you've had to buy a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One to be able to play those games, at least at some point they got money from you. What happened? I mean, does Dauntless go onto Google Stadia? If you're using this Stadia-based subscription, which is free for 1080p, that's 1080p 60, isn't it? Or maybe 30? I can't remember. Maybe 30.
Which is let's not be tech cunts. Let's
not beat around the bush.
That's
30
fine.
FPS as long as it's stable is absolutely no problem at all. So when push comes to shove, if you want to play Dauntless or whatever the next free game is, because saving money is more important, frankly, and by the way, those free games are ace. Warframe, for example. Can you just fire that up on Stadia's free service and never have to pay a penny until you buy a microtransaction or DLC or whatever?
That sounds like
it sounds like it doesn't work, but I don't see how they do it otherwise.
Where's the money? Yeah, where's the money on Stadia for that?
I think maybe they'd have to. The companies themselves would have to give a bit of money to Google from the microtransactions and stuff. But then again, if they keep them as non-predatory as like Warframe and Dauntless are, we played Dauntless for a little while, and Pad had already bought the Hunt Pass before.
We were talking about it, and I'd purchased it by the time we'd finished the conversation.
Yeah.
And I've done it
because we'd had so much fun. But it's kind of nice that because they've not been predatory in that regard, that
you feel
I
like
think
you want
most
to.
people, most people want to give some money back to the devs, even if it's even beyond getting skins and extra gubbins and even the extra quests are really good fun, and I think we've been tackling those straight away because they push us on further with the hunt pass.
Encourage you to try different things, and it's not a game where you, without getting into Dauntless chat, encourage you to try different stuff out you wouldn't normally do. The worry with these hunting games is you can kind of be your main guy and just do that, whereas it's like no, try something else. Go on, try a sword. It's fun.
Let's face it, there is no way that Fortnite doesn't end up on Stadia, presumably. So on that basis, and you don't charge for Fortnite, not for the Battle Royale mode. So Stadia presumably hosts that on the basis that they are happy to wait for the microtransaction money to start rolling in, and they take their 30% of that, the same as Apple or Google do, from phone and tablet purchases of Fortnite microtransactions.
Or maybe we just become grumpy old fuckers and just play old Final Fantasy games on our Vitas till the end of time. Which is actually legitimately what I'm doing at the moment.
Which is perfectly acceptable other way to go. It's a really interesting time because, as you say, Pad, you're not necessarily looking forward to PlayStation 5 next year. It's like, well, that may not be viable, realistic, or actually the exciting bit even necessary.
I mean, it could be a nice first birthday present for my child. Did you know as well? Here's a fact: the current Death Stranding release date, I believe, is November 8th. Is our due date? Fucking Christ!
Oh man!
Fucking Christ! Come on, Laura, can you just be a bit late, a week? Can you just give me a week?
See, I think you've maybe got this a bit wrong because. Actually, the first couple of weeks when a baby's born, in a lot of cases, I'm not going to say in all cases, in a lot of cases, that's before the baby's up all night crying. There's a lot of sleeping going on, a lot of just feeding, and they haven't yet got to the point where they've started with the sleepless nights, etc. You might that. Oh, might I know. I just
feel like I want to go and just sink in and just not come up for a week. Do you know what I mean? I just want to absorb myself in it. It's just, god damn it, fucking thanks, fate.
Right, so almost finally, we've got Halo Infinite launching with Scarlet, which I think is a really clever idea. I will admit that I cried at the trailer first time, and I cried at the trailer the second time. Although it was strange in the same way as I was saying with Gears, it seemed like we got last year's trailer this year and this year's trailer last year. It felt very much like that now, that we got like a mood piece. And last year we got, this is the world, this is what we're trying to do, look at the animals, look at the life. But I loved the trailer, and as a big Halo fan, this intrigued me, it excited me, it upset me. I know they're doing a soft reboot on the series because Halo 5 was just such a mess. But this is everything I want on the face of it from a Halo game, and with it launching at the start of they're essentially doing a Breath of the Wild, or an original Xbox Halo, and having something that everybody wants for the start of the console. And don't know, it makes me.
You say, albeit a soft reboot, but a reboot. But when the red letters AI not found appeared on screen, that caught my breath. And I've not even played Halo 5. I played Halo 4 and got the incorrect button prompt at the end, and that put me off trying Halo 5.
That end of Halo 4 just made me sob like an absolute loon.
But seeing AI not found, I think it was not found, was the phrase. Yeah. And I don't know how when the trailer finished, I felt foolish for feeling this way, but when he opens the door and pulls in the Master Chief armor, because at that point you don't know there's anyone in there. It's a suit of armor that's booting back up. I legitimately for a second didn't know what was going to happen. I thought, is this an empty suit? Is he going to have to get into the suit? Is this going to reboot and just the Master Chief's going to lift up his gun and kill him? Or, it was literally like, I feel like, and maybe that's the kind of soft reboot vibes coming off it. I feel like I didn't know where that sequence was going.
I love this. I love the stuff with the little hologram and his wife. That was the point where I went like, and just sort of choked up a little bit. I thought that was a wonderful way of saying that he was a family man and actually humanizing, the big green giant that's been the war machine over all these games. Plus, as another little nuance, I quite like the fact that they didn't have RoboCop thunk feet. That he actually moved the Master Chief moved quite stealthily. Like there was no real sound when he's putting his feet on the floor, and I dug that. But yeah, this is as a huge fan of these games. This is
another thing I really loved. Like so he's like asleep at the beginning, or I think asleep rather than knocked out, and the alarm starts going off, and you see him. It looked really good the way they had him wake up, and you could see the moment where he realised something was going on and he needed to act. And when he got the cards out and clearly had to put them in at the same time, was stretching. He was doing the two-person entry. Thing, and on the one right in front of the camera, he went to reach for it and put it on top and then kind of missed. And it was so well done. Yeah. So many little touches of this is a real person in a real situation. Really cool.
Paddy knows I have a bit of a thing for the inside of cockpits and vehicles and stuff, and there were proper buttons and flicky switches in that thing.
Filth.
And that's what I liked. It looked like a console that was fit for use, rather than it just being old touch screens and stuff. And I nerd out about that.
And it seems like he's the guy we see is kind of either adrift or like when he's breathing in the ship, there's cold air coming out. So clearly he's running on low power. He says as much. He's not able to heat the space. Probably running out of fuel or running out of air potentially, and you get this feeling that he's in a desperate situation. And the moment where he wipes the screen away and you see Chief outside, and he's just like the hope comes back in. Really well done. I thought, I
really liked the bit as well where Chief walked away from like the cables that were connecting him, and he was like massive on the screen. You just saw the of them all coming off, and it was just you saw the size of them as well. Like the 7 foot odd of Master Chief. And
Speaking of, he looked like he is other than that door. He's too tall for that door. Me and Laura both went, nah, hang on a second. He's a bit big for that door. I did, unfortunately, I have ultra-voxed a little bit on this. Like, it means nothing. Like, I don't have any... but it was cool. I enjoyed what I watched. In the grand context, I enjoyed the goof bag running around his ship trying to fix things. And I just liked the way he sort of showed Chief, like, oh, this is this big ring. It's all broken. Again, I don't know what it all is. So his response...
Neither do we.
So Chief's response is not... Yeah, so Mr. Chief's response is not like, oh, what do we do? He's like, all right, cool, I'm going to go fight now. It's like, wait, we can't fight. No, yeah, we can. I'm going to go do that. It's like, oh, well done, mate. Showing leadership and assertiveness.
I do like the fact that Chief was obviously being like the player avatar anyway. The questions was poised like, you don't know what's happened. We lost. And that to me is really resonant. It's like, there's a huge part of this I do not know. And you saw the Halo ring destroyed, like I presume sort of the new one, and it makes you wonder about Earth.
Absolutely,
and it makes you wonder about what's happened, and it poses all of these questions. But I do like that thing of don't you know what's happened? We lost. And he might as well be talking to us at that point, because we don't know what's happened. But that's kind of cool. And then they had the Cortana moment at the end, which made me catch my breath.
I really liked as well, because I presumed when we went to the window to see what he meant by we lost, I presumed we were going to see Earth, frankly. And then to see the Halo ring, and on the inside of the ring there's a clear shot of like blue sky, and it looks like Earth in the Halo ring, which obviously, I mean, the Halo rings themselves are very planetary, like, surfaces, but just to see like that strip there that looks like it actually could be Earth but it's a Halo is just it just brings to mind actually the loss of a Halo, the destruction of a Halo is like the loss of a planet. Like it's that big. It's that big of a deal.
My hope going in was that Joe Staten, who wrote the early games and particularly was really hitting his stride on Reach and ODST, was writing this one, and I was hoping that Marty O'Donnell was doing the music, but because it was very Halo 1 music, but apparently it's the fella that did God of War, the new one, who's working on it. But it sounded great. And did you smile when the shield went up and you just heard the?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Halo has almost as much as anything, except maybe Star Wars, that connection with like the sounds and the score. It really is just like every bit as much as the way the guns sound, but also the way the suit sounds, the way just the sound effects that create the world, and the way the music creates the world. It's got that as much as, just as I say, just about anything in popular culture. And so little stuff like that is like, it's the sort of thing where you're like, they've got to nail it, and of course they do, but it just feels that important, and when they do, it's just big smile. It made me want to go and play Halo 5. You're probably going to caution me against it, but it's like, I haven't played Halo 5. I've played everything up to that point. I feel like I do need to see where that goes in order to pick up.
I will play Halo 5 with you because it looks bloody beautiful on One X. My problem is that the story isn't great, and the story seems to be all over the place. But I'll 100% play it with you because I don't know. I'm still double excited for Reach as well when that comes back. The just to finish off with something that was announced the day after, known as the James Carter movement, where Microsoft announced their final backwards compatible games in a huge dollop, which was original Xbox, Armed and Dangerous, Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb,
just some weird
pulls, Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy. Then we go into the first of the James Carter section, which is Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Double Agent, Unreal Championship. Unreal Championship 2, the Leandri Conflict. Then on Enhanced 360, so the Xbox One X enhanced stuff, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, Banjo-Tooie, Cameo Elements of Power, Perfect Dark Zero, Viva Pinata Trouble in Paradise. Then 360 games, Asura's Wrath, Battlefield 2 Modern Combat, Enchanted Arms, From Software's Enchanted Arms.
That game's weird.
Enslaved Odyssey to the West. Well played. Far Cry Classic, Far Cry Instincts Predator, Infinite Undiscovery, which is Square RPG, Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie, Prince of Persia, The Forgotten Sands, Skate, Star Ocean, The Last Hope, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Syndicate. That Syndicate reboot was good. Too Human, and then Unreal Tournament 3. Like all of those, just like, we're going to work on the Scarlet now. Here's loads of games. Bye. And this is on top of all those Game Pass games and stuff. It's like, thanks. That's really nice of you. Thanks. So well played. But also, when you were saying about, it was the night when the Ubi stuff was on, I think, and they gave you that crappy tease of Sam Fisher in a mobile game, and then all of a sudden afterwards, it was just like, here we go, James. Here's your first pill. Here's your second pill. Here's your third pill. Here's your fourth pill. Yeah. Enjoy. But isn't that all of the Splinter Cell games now?
Conviction was already on there. Blacklist must be. There's no... It must be. I remember Conviction going on to backwards compatibility. I don't remember Blacklist, but it must be. Because that was released 2013, just in the... it was released on 360 and never made it cross-gen. So I think that's right. They made a point of saying both double agents as well, because it was one of those a bit like a few games at the time where a different version came to the older systems than did the Xbox 360, and completely different game. Like, it wasn't just ported by another studio made a different version of the game with the same assets and the same vague idea, but they essentially made two versions of that, which is cool.
So what did we think of the show?
After you.
I thought it was really good. I think Microsoft. So one thing they did really well, Game Pass. Like people are asking, "Oh, what's the Game Pass?" Is the must-have for Xbox. The flip side of that is they're still in this interim period where they've bought these studios. Some of them just have to get through games that they're already working on that are multi-platform publishing deals on, etc. And it still means we're in this kind of holding pattern where Sony have had their giant successful franchise building games. Like last year was just nuts for Sony, and Microsoft. Like people are still looking to Microsoft saying, "Well, come on, where's your answer?" And they can't. They
takes
can't.
Time
yeah,
to turn the
they
ship,
can't.
Doesn't it?
Like you look at the studios they bought. Every single one of them is either just released a game or is about to release a game that is going to come to multiple platforms, and they can't yet make their first Xbox exclusive game. So it's just not going to happen. I was surprised we didn't see the Fable that Playground has been rumoured to be working on.
Cut, wasn't it?
I think that would have been the one that people would have said, well, there's your exclusive. And it wouldn't get everyone on board, but if they can make a good Fable, that'll get a lot of people on board. Which I think I have faith in them doing, but at this point, that looks like a next-gen game to me now. I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be. And I think it's this weird thing where I've heard a lot of people sort of saying, I wanted them to knock it out of the park with Sony not being there, and it's like, well, they can't. It's just not going to work, and that's not anyone else's problem to have to worry about with Microsoft's, but it is this weird thing where I loved a lot of what they said. I think Game Pass looks like an astounding program. It just looks like a no-brainer for me now, where, as I said before, I could just play Game Pass games and never buy another game again. That's not the way my game playing works, because there's stuff I particularly do want to play that won't come to Game Pass. But
in the same way as Paddy was saying about having to, really double down on what you buy or what you don't, for that little bit extra that you pay over Live Gold per month, or if you're stacking up as we all are, you've still got stuff to play, and it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, and I think that's kind of cool.
And it's again, like, this has been like 3 years running now, where I feel like Microsoft may not have the games that are going to drop my jaw in terms of exclusives, but they say all the right things when it comes to the way they are presenting themselves and the way they are talking about what Xbox aims to be. So to me, this platform, the Xbox One X, is still going to be the place I choose to play most games. And that's what that goodwill buys them. Time will tell whether cloud streaming, whether buying these studios and gearing up for next gen, which looks like that's what it's going to be now. Next gen's their big push. Starts with Halo, and then it's just going to be, and here's what this studio's working on, here's what this studio's working on, and so on and so forth. That might not come off for them, but I'm so excited to see them put what looks like it looks like an entire generation's worth of planning into action. But yeah, I enjoyed the conference. I always do. I think 60 games, 34 on Game Pass is ridiculous. And yeah, it was about as good as I expected. As I say, I expected to see the Fable game and didn't. That was a kind of a surprise not to see, I suppose. I don't know that there were many surprises there that were aimed at me. Like Phantasy Star Online 2 is an incredible surprise, but not one that's going to draw me in. But I think probably my game of the show was in this conference. I don't know whether I want to say it now, because we'll probably save that for later.
We'll have future conversations.
But no, I was happy overall. How about you?
I mean, it was weird. If I'm being critical, it was weird with Microsoft hyping themselves up and just saying, like, we're going big for this conference, which sounds like they were wheeling out all the guns that I don't think they particularly
They're still
out.
loading those guns at the moment is the problem,
But I think they gave the impression that those guns would be firing massively. But I thoroughly enjoyed the show, and they gave me a really wide mix of games to look at. They gave me a lot of them, and it just gave me the avenue for, I don't know, seeing where I was going to go for the next year and what I could play, and even the looking up some of the stuff in the indie montage really excited me with the things that I've potentially got to play. So my problem with Sony not being there is that I think you've got a commitment to the people that have bought your console to show the games that they can play for the next year. And in the same ways, I worked in property for a little while, and the property supplement in the middle of the paper didn't really bring in that much stuff for the company itself, but it was everybody had to be in it because it was a status thing. And it's been mentioned that all the eyes of the world are on gaming at this point with E3 because it's all so concentrated. So it seems really strange to not have them there. But my point is that Microsoft has shown me the stuff that that I can play for the year ahead, and a lot of it is stuff that I'd not really considered that I wanted. And that's cool for me. Job done, and I thoroughly enjoyed the show. And they are really good at going, here's a load of games, and then just firing them off one after one after the other. And I don't know, I enjoyed it a lot. I was entertained and really excited by it. So, yeah. Mr. Patrick Stardust?
Yeah, I'd say about the same. Like, I enjoyed the show. Like, it was really paced well. Like, it didn't hang at any point, which some of these can do. Special shout out to when Brian Bendis was on stage on the PlayStation one a few years ago. Good God, I fell asleep. It didn't, there's loads of good, interesting games that I haven't heard of. Like the sizzle reel was, I know I didn't look up on it, but like there was loads in there. There's lots of just odd small games like, this looks fun. Oh, this looks fun. Oh, that looks nice. Like strange stuff. I don't think they had a slam dunk. I was waiting for the dunk, and again, for me, Halo Infinite is not the dunk. Like, show me the gameplay, maybe that's a dunk, but it wasn't a dunk. Gears 5 was nothing. I think the thing I was talking to with Laura about this on the way to work quite a lot of times is I feel like I got excited at the wrong stuff. Like, I got excited at Keanu Reeves and Lego cars. Like, that shouldn't be the stuff that I get most excited about on, this big show. That should, and it's obviously they're cheap pops. It's Keanu Reeves, way. They are cheap pops, but they're the pops that we got. And I don't know. Like, a lot of this stuff is still coming out on the PlayStation as well, which is fine. Like, there's a lot of multi-platform stuff, because a lot of these companies are still making the multi-platform games, as you said earlier. They're making a very convincing argument for Game Pass, I will say. The Game Pass seems fucking brilliant. Like, again, if that similar service was on the PlayStation, I'd have already bought up a year's worth of it by now.
It's weird, because it's so you. Like, especially the you now, because you always quite like the quirky stuff that you could get on like Vita and
I did
stuff.
great. I did very well with Plus. Like, astonishingly well with Plus. I used to try almost everything on Plus. I downloaded everything, and now you only get the 2 games. Yeah, sure, they're usually with a slightly higher, price point or purchase quality than the ones. But I used to like having the odd Vita stuff, and I did download the PS3 stuff. But every now and again, you go, oh yeah, well, I'll reboot that up there. I'll get that down there.
But a lot of this stuff looked weird, and it looked like the stuff I didn't know I wanted until I saw it.
The stuff that would show up like in the middle of the Sony show, in the indie bit when Gio Coolsey comes out and goes, "Hey, check all this out." You said,
or the pre-show where you go like, "Oh my god, didn't you see the pre-show?"
Yeah. I think for me, it's like going back to why Sony aren't. I guess we're going to fold Sony into this as well, aren't we? Like, I don't know if they could do another show where they show Last of Us 2, Death Stranding, and Ghost of Tsushima again, because this will be 3 in a row, and they're still not out. I don't think you can do that. Of the 4 big games they showed last year, one of them is out. I don't know if they could reliably do that, and we're at this weird cross-generation point where we're kind of at the end, like you said, CJ, the fading light of the generation. I'm not saying it, and like there's just not. I don't know if Sony have got a lot left that's not, the multi-platform stuff that's coming and everything. I don't know if there's enough left coming out that they haven't already shown several times. Maybe, they're starting to do their own sort of access shows now, their own sort of like, almost Nintendo Directs they've been doing, which have been, quite enjoyable for what they are, short and sweet. Tend to go bigger on their PlayStation experiences, and they, I think Tokyo Game Show, they tend to go a bit harder on these days. It was a shame to not see them this year, but I think after the criticism they got last year for the weird pacing of the show and the fact they tried to do something, I can see what they tried to do. It didn't quite pay off. It was nice to see something different, but it didn't quite live up to what I expected. I thought the couple of years previous were much better. The E3 of Dreams year where 7 got announced and Shenmue got announced, and that E3 was a good E3. That was probably one of the best ones.
Stuff that's not out yet.
Well, but you know what I mean, or like the one where where the console wars were just starting to kick off on the this gen, and that just incredible one where they sort of dropped the PlayStation 4 price point and just like shat all over the terrible Don Matrick Xbox one. And I was still awake at 7 in the morning talking to, I think it was you in fact, CJ, talking about that until 7 or 8 in the morning, and then stayed up. It was electric, and that's what I want again. And I think next year,
that's probably going to be next year.
Next year is the E3 where I'm going to be like, whoa. But again, we'll cover this more later as we go, but this E3 has been a really weird one for me. It's been a really strange, like, I've been working, I've not been able to sit there and consume it like I usually do, but I am significantly less arsed than I've been for the last couple of years, and maybe that's because the one that I care about, Sony, which is the one I look forward to, are not there and are not doing a show, and that's the one, it's like going to a gig. No, in fact, I'm not going to do a metaphor. It's like going to E3 and the publisher that I want to see stuff from is not there. There's no metaphor. It's no need for a metaphor. That is what it is. And it's, I don't know, a little bit deflating, possibly. A little bit like,
I can understand that.
And I'm not going to buy another machine anytime soon. If I do, it will be a PlayStation 5 or whatever they call that, but it will not be anytime soon. I have no doubt. If I do get one next year, it will be because I've got a bonus or someone has given me some money. Like, I have other priorities now, and that's just where my life is at this point.
This is why I'm trying to, because I don't earn a tremendous amount, but this is why every fortnight when my pay packet comes in, I'm sort of putting like 20 quid in a different account, because I know hopefully that's going to mount up, and when these things are released, that I can, it's not going to be me sort of staring and thinking, like, how am I going to afford that amount of money? It's like, well, I'm almost the way there, and I can sell my Xbox One X and put that towards it. Or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it not so impactful.
Your big purchases you've scouted out, or I mean, for me, like I say, the big purchases, like the ones I'm looking forward to. Death Stranding. I mean, nice work on the release date there, for fuck's sake. But like that, and like Laura's looking forward to Crash Team Racing that's coming out in a few weeks, I think, and we've scouted out the 1 or 2 games that we want to get on launch and are happy to pay for. I mean, the last full price game I think I bought was you mentioned earlier, it's Red Dead, and sure, I made my peace with that. I thought I can't not play it. I need it. I've been waiting years for this. I have to. But that was the last game I really bought at like a full £40-50 price point. I wait for sales now. I wait for digital sales. I buy cheaper games now. It's the way it is, and I play a lot of older stuff. I'm really enjoying digging through my old PS2 library at the moment, and I don't know, just I'm kind of not really up on the pulse at the moment, and I think my enthusiasm this year has probably matched that, I guess. It's a weird one this year, but I think Xbox did, just to cycle back around, Xbox did a good show. Like, I enjoyed it. It was, again, probably the best of the shows that I've seen so far by quite a bit. It was solid. There was lots there, lots of variety. Everyone there was enjoying themselves. A few iffy bits in the middle, obviously, but generally good show. Can't argue with it. Great show. I'd watch that one again. The similar sort of thing, but with Sony instead. Make it blue, and I'd watch that.
I hope they take something from how well Microsoft are doing these shows and just do a PlayStation version of that. I'd be really happy to see that sort of pacing. And the God of War year was a really good year. Like when the orchestra was out and stuff, the pacing of that was just proper good.
And I think like Sean Layden, like I didn't like him at first. I think he's really coming to his own. Like I think he seems really genuine, and like I like Sean Layden when he comes out. With some of the suits, like the aforementioned Jim Ryan, he can go fucking jump into a sea. But, the Jack Tretton years, when Adam Boyes would come out.
Yeah, I love Jack.
Those are my boys. Shu. I love Shu. Give me Shu.
Yeah. Agreed.
But yeah, no, Phil, big, big Phil is, who I have to work with now, and yeah, Big Phil did a great job.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves was there. I mean, fucking come on.
Yeah, that's a moment from this E3 that I think does stand alongside those others that we've mentioned. God of War reveal, Final Fantasy VII reveal. I think that's a moment that people are going to look back on as a massive moment. It wasn't a new reveal of a game, so it doesn't have that going for it, but it was just this big grinning, cheering moment where you felt the reaction of everyone in the room. It was really cool.
James, to conclude?
Yeah, really happy. Really happy that Xbox's genuine kind of attitude towards what they want gaming to be just continues. There's plenty of games in this I'm looking forward to playing. It may not be the biggest bells and whistles announcements, but there's stuff in here that's really cool, I think, in the idea Xbox Real, in stuff that's going on to Game Pass. Metro Exodus I haven't got around to yet. I'm a big fan of that series. It's now on Game Pass. That's cool. There's cool stuff happening in the way that games are changing, and it just strikes me as very odd that a lot of what was announced for Xbox One that rubbed people up the wrong way, Microsoft are essentially coming back around to, but they are just presenting it in a smarter way, to the point where it feels like they actually understand how to go about presenting what their vision of the future of gaming is, versus 5-6 years ago when they didn't know their arse from their elbow. 2013 they were telling gamers what to want. They were not telling gamers what their shared vision of the future is, which it just feels like they are now. Maybe that's a presentation thing. Maybe it is all just show, and it is all just selling us on their way of marketing it. But I have a lot of faith in them going forward, and I'm happy with that showing. I really am. Yeah. Stuff here really exciting.
Right then. So join us next time for the next one, which is it Bethesda? Are we doing a full Bethesda show, or are we folding it into something else?
I think we can spread that out. I might have to split this in half based on the file size. We'll see how we go.
I was thinking at the point that we go to the loo, cut it there.
Yeah.
Probably.
Right. Well, thanks very much for bearing with us and for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Time.
Cheer,
bye.
Bye, everyone.